leadership.
Hey, I think we're on.
Maybe.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome to the Plus Party, another edition of our, I guess the last edition of our Watch Along for the Imagineering story. Not only is this on YouTube in perpetuity, but we're also right now on, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitch. That's the thing we're doing now.
Hello, 3 people on Twitch.
Yes, so all 3 of you on Twitch. We're very excited to have you. I'm Tom Corliss. Everyone else introduce you.
I'm Nathan Hartman. Hello.
I'm Pete Carney, Siva Co.
Hey, I'm Eric Wolf.
Yes, and so we're going to watch the last 2 episodes of the Imagineering story. We are a week behind, so we do have to watch episode 5 and, of course, episode 6, which was released today. So the way this works is I count everybody down at home. If you want to watch in synchronization, I'll count to 3, and on 3 we begin playing the show. We're going to begin with episode 5, which is a carousel of progress, which I'm going to read you the description. I did not come up with this. Under Bob Iger's leadership, the Imagineers begin a creative renaissance, plussing parks worldwide. See how much we agree with that as the show goes on. So are we fired up Disney Plus? We're ready to go. I'm going to count to 3 on 3. We're going to begin playing the episode. You can watch along. You can listen to this on its own. Use it as a commentary track. Whatever you choose to do.
We're doing it.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We check the volume on this.
Testing.
Oh, it started in the middle of the episode. So everyone give me a
What moment?
Give me a moment to find the beginning of the episode.
Just hold the rewind
I
button
think
down.
I have to hold rewind.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So this time around, when we go ahead and go to rewind to the beginning, and you're at 0.
Here we go. Ready?
So it's on the screen. We already
on
loaded
0
it.
now, okay.
Yeah, we're on 0.
I'm going to count to 3, and on 3, it's going to start from 0, 0, 0.
Yes.
Right.
All right, is everybody ready now?
I find the beginning is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's too early for this.
It's too early.
1, 2, 3.
Ooh.
You got the Disney Plus logo, you know you're in the right place.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
So I don't know if this is, I don't know what this is, if this is maybe
It's
for the
a-
Snow White redo that's happening in California, that little bit of projection
Yeah,
mapping
sure.
test.
It's kind of a, yeah. I love that Disney Springs model. It's really pretty.
Yeah, the infamous Disney Springs model. Do you know the story of
I
Disney
don't.
Springs
Tell me
model? Some website, some jerk released that Disney Springs was a thing, and then Disney threw together very quickly a press event in the back room of Splitsville where that model was, where they showed people and announced it. I don't know who.
Some jerk. Kevin Rafferty, if you listen to my
Dreamfinders.
podcast, Dreamfinders, I've interviewed Kevin Rafferty. Really interesting story. His book's good too.
Likes to be called the Wrath, I believe.
No, shut up, Pete.
Oh.
So, it's too early for this, you're right. So Mystic Manor,
Oh yeah.
totally worth it.
Returning in a couple
Here's-
of days, I'm very excited.
Here's the problem with this intro overall, is it doesn't end with Mystic Manor, it ends with the
Mickey's Fun.
with the fun wheel.
What an achievement! Which it kind of was. It's unfair.
Yeah.
A swinging gondola on a Ferris wheel
Yeah.
hadn't been done in a very long time, and they wanted to do it in a much safer way than Dino's Fun Wheel or Wonder Wheel in Coney Island.
Less warriors. Yeah.
But now we're entering the Bob Iger era. We've reached the end of Michael Eisner's time
Yes.
with the company, and of course everything from now on
Is great.
going to be sunshine, lollipops, and rainbow.
Of course.
I wanted something live.
Well, we're in the middle of a renaissance.
Something I can keep plussing with ideas.
I love this old footage, and it's pretty. Sometimes they'll have a shot, and I'm like, I don't know who put that together, but it's great that it's available. Like, of course they did this, but you just don't think about it until you see it. And it's so pretty.
They need some lengthier, like, subtopic documentaries.
Yeah.
Yes.
They need, like,
Let's talk about
Disneyland
that.
in the
Yeah.
60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, things like that. Just pick interesting topics and do, like, an hour, 90
Yeah.
minutes.
Maybe
Just,
after all of this, we'll discuss what we'd like to see in a season 2.
Everywhere. As we begin this wonderful
A little less gray.
Yeah, it's like Barack, the meme, is
Yeah.
presidency.
It'll do it.
commemorating this historic milestone. It was in September of 2005, and I was standing on the parade route at Hong Kong Disneyland.
How many times have you heard him tell this story? I've heard this story like 40 times.
This is one of
Yeah.
the ones I tell all the time.
And what struck me was that
Well, I don't know. I forget what the saying is, but it's like everybody has like however many good stories. But
Yeah.
there's only a
Yeah.
couple
Oh, yeah.
that you like tell everybody.
At that point,
I have plenty.
Pixar relationship was nearing its end. It had been
I
publicly announced
fix
that it wasn't.
everything.
He's got a great sweater vest collection.
He does.
Very much so. Did you read his book?
I started.
I'm 2/3 the way through.
I don't know if I yet.
I mean,
I need to
everyone
read.
else I've talked to has had mediocre things
Yeah.
to say about it. It's not put together very well. I think it was rushed.
For the first time he was going to retire. And then
Yeah,
the second
maybe.
time, and then-
Maybe in time for his political run.
Oh, that would make total sense, actually.
Yeah.
It's interesting if you read Disney War, which is a fantastic book. Iger's always sort of it's more of a Shakespearean story of Eisner and Katzenberg, but Iger is always in the background, always sort of like, I'm not sure. Like he plays this level, kind of reasoned voice in a lot of it, which I don't know if it's necessarily always true in the moment, but at that time especially, he was doing very well. He was running ABC and doing
Well, I
his
don't-
thing. He's a smart man. There's
Yeah, I
no
don't
doubt.
think he had the, I mean, I don't know if anyone
From Long Island.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone on Earth had the ego of those guys. But he definitely did not, and I think we saw him come out more in the last 5 years. And more of this like, oh, I did this and I did that. It's understated, but there's certainly an ego there. But it's
It's
not.
hard
It's
not to.
certainly not at Eisner
Yeah,
and
no.
Katzenberg level.
Oh boy, no.
Well, it's because he's on his exit tour. That's why he's That's why you're starting to hear more of what he did. This is his exit tour.
It's a
Yeah.
legacy campaign, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Shanghai was like. his
What,
thing.
what do you think this is, if not a legacy campaign, too?
I mean, so I will say this. I think the first few years he is there is a renaissance.
Sure, absolutely.
I agree with this episode.
Yes.
This is a
I have
moment
no issue with this
where,
episode.
And if you read our
When it
site
comes to that, yeah.
because we're now in the era that our website exists. Where we begin in 2007. This is weeks after we've started to announce.
That's wild.
This expansion. And this is where we start to be positive. We come out of a couple of years of real negativity, of bad things. And we come into stuff like this, and it's like this finally looks like we have a promising future coming.
I mean, yeah, there's, because of course, we haven't seen the newest episode, but we've, some of us have seen this. Has everyone seen this episode at least
I've
once?
seen
This
5.
episode, yes.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think it's hard to say, like, at least from my personal belief when looking at this episode, I was going in pretty like, we'll see what happens. I don't necessarily have a ton of issues with this episode when it comes to, like, I think from a documentary perspective, it stays pretty level, and it's basically like, this is the stuff we did. So in that way, I think it's admirable, because we'll see about the next episode.
Well, what we've said becomes clear over time is when Iger comes in, he definitely is looking at the parks and he's very involved in all of these. And I think as we get later, he gets pulled
Disconnected,
away to
yeah.
other stuff, and he leaves Bob Chapek to handle things, and maybe that's not the best idea.
Right.
The Imagineers ventured into a 5-year renovation.
I'm curious if they just like pull the stuff out of archives and putting it back together, because some of that footage looks a little newer. This looks older.
Including the California postcard entry.
I mean, a lot of it was shot for PR. There was so much PR
That's true,
stuff
too.
done for this
Entryway, we're
project.
moving the tile walls, we're moving the turnstiles forward, and what we're gonna do is open this up,
I mean,
make this more
the
of a
only
town
shame, like,
square.
the shame of it is, of course, this studios has this exact same. To
Art
have
Deco,
to have an entrance that is identical, it works, but it's sort of a shame to have any park have an identical entrance.
In homage to that period of time.
The Pan Pacific Auditorium. I mean, you're in LA. You're trying.
But
to
isn't
I
a lot of
agree.
the architecture? I was gonna say it's literally the same. Like the top of Carthay looks like the buildings on Sunset.
Well, they
No,
have
I don't
Carthay-
disagree.
All those
Yeah,
other buildings
Carthay-
are
Yeah.
very different. You're going very real LA.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
And that's what Hollywood Studios was trying to do, though.
No,
Hollywood Studios is the
fake.
Hollywood that never
Oh.
was. It's
Yeah.
very everything's brighter,
It's a set.
different scale.
But on Sunset, it looks very similar to Buena Vista.
Oh, I think they're very different.
It's
One of them's a lot homier. I think Buena Vista Street is less grand. It's a lot homier. It's a lot
Yeah.
more. Like this is real LA in the 1920s, 30s.
To do when you come up with an idea at Imagineering is to be able to distill that story, that idea down into
Don't we
one
technically
sentence.
have Carthay Circle?
We have the building on
It's a
Sunset
building, right?
Boulevard.
Yeah.
That was built in '94. Same team, or at least same lead on Sunset Boulevard that was on one of
Where-
the streets.
The ref.
Where is this on like Disney's property? Because I see the old people movers and stuff.
I assume that's at Imagineering.
Is it Imagineering?
I've never been to Imagineering. I don't know.
Can't imagine why.
I remember pitching, and wouldn't it be great if you could like pull off some facial.
Toy Story Mania, the fastest ever attraction from concept to
Really?
construction completion in the modern era.
What's the time? What was the turnaround?
When I first pitched this idea,
I think it came up in May of '05,
at Imagineering,
and it was in production by the next summer. I mean, they were doing construction by the next summer.
Wow.
Unbelievable. This is magic in motion right here. It's the ultimate exercise in reverse engineering where the artist will
So,
draw. give you the
my
concept,
real
sculpt
problem
it,
with the
sculpt
next two
with
episodes
not many
is they
variations
do
in
not
this
talk about the
prototype.
elephant in the room
And
with things like
the
this.
trick with taking
The elephant in the room is
was
that this is
geometry
not being
regarding
done by Walt Disney.
Right, it's
Imagineering.
third party.
This is Garner Holt. Garner Holt started doing their animatronics for the most part. Now Disney still did R&D and stuff, and there's some stuff like the Shaman and stuff
Right.
that they can do. But this and some prop creation for Galaxy's Edge, they'll be very dishonest and they'll say, "Oh, in a warehouse in Orlando, Imagineers make props."
No,
Third party-
all those
a
X-wings
third
were
party
made by a
company
third party.
making those props.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I think it was Anatomy Effects for the down here, right?
They just point at him.
I can't remember.
It zooms in on that person, and then he touches different spots on a computer screen.
Also, they got rid of the live actor.
Yeah, what is that?
People argued with me about this on Twitter, if the live actor's always there. So here's the thing, is it used to pick out like, hey, you in the white shirt.
Yeah.
Hey, you
Yeah.
in the, it doesn't do that. It does the raise your hand thing all the time
Yeah.
now. But people have said they've seen the ear. The ear apparently can still happen. But I'm not so sure if they didn't limit it, or if cast members are being totally honest there. I kind of want to stage a sting operation where I just kind of stand in the queue for 2 hours and
happens.
see what happens.
There's an interesting story about the testing of this ride that Kevin brings up in his book, which is there's a line where the Sarge says, "I'm not your mother, break the plates."
Yeah.
That line specifically comes from the fact that children wouldn't do it. They wouldn't break the plates because they had been taught that that was a bad thing to do. And so they made it very distinct. They had to make it very distinct that don't worry about it. It's fine. You're allowed to break the plates. And then immediately in testing, they would break the plate.
That's fun.
Yeah.
The International Space Station are on an easterly heading over the Southern Ocean.
Hi, I'm Greg Samatov aboard the International Space Station.
I'm always curious about what if these are all like sort of PR, mutually like beneficial moments, or if Disney like funds something for NASA. I don't know what the relationship for those NASA things are. I think it's just good PR for NASA more than anything.
For both of them.
I think so. I'm not being critical of it at all. Yeah, it's good for everybody. I'm just curious about the relationship because you see that a lot.
Hey, remember Bo Peep's Balloon Pop?
Bomb.
Long time ago.
Now that footage, of course, I think also from the Xbox game, Wii game. There's a Wii game.
That's the right.
How do people score 500,000 points on that?
I don't know.
Each one of them do have bonus. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never broken like 350. I don't know.
Yeah, like that's great. My best game I think was 250.
I like how they've plussed the plus at this point. This is the plussing of this area, and now it's.
Oh, it's already been overlaid
Yeah.
again already.
Plussing the plus
He
on
talks
Disney
so
Plus.
fondly about people love
that a new
this
show?
stuff,
Yes,
and then
it's like High School Musical, the musical.
slap it on.
The Imagineers updated the theme.
Color.
Disney television
My
show.
favorite nighttime show ever.
Bob Iger said to me, he goes, "You have to relaunch
Stevie
this.
D.
That World of Color is the first thing out of the gate, and it has to show the world that California Adventure is going to be new and spectacular. No pressure," he said.
It set the tone
And that's
for sure.
when fun becomes terror, because now you have to execute it. I still love the fact that we do open with the big fanfare. Color, World of Color, Disney presents, lights are on, everything.
I'm just looking at that food in the background.
Yeah, that's the Grand California.
Oh yeah. I mean, they always do
Grand
stuff
California
there,
Convention Center.
right? Like Imagineering pitches a lot in the resorts, from what I've been told.
Yeah, their operations doesn't want to go to WTI. This show, I wish they would do more about this, because this show went
It's
through
Tom's
a ton
favorite.
of changes and turmoil towards the end. Where I guess Bob saw it in March and said, "Oh, I don't like these things," and they were like, "Well, we debut in 3 months."
Wow.
And like some segments went, like Alice went. They never got some things to work. The Chernobog thing never worked. It never came out of the water. They eventually ripped it out.
Disney had never done a big water spectacular before that involved Fountain.
I've never seen the original. I was able to see the 60th.
And
Well, that one's terrible.
That's what I hear. And I'm like, I can't wait to see the actual.
Yeah. No, the 60th one was bad.
The technicians who worked on this were amazing.
It's incredibly complicated.
But
It's
electrical vaults under
not what they thought it was going to be. They thought by building a water show, you take away all the costs of actors, and things like that, and it would be a lot cheaper. It turns out the maintenance on this costs more than live actors. So remember when the show went away for like a year or so? Some of that was money. It wasn't all technical
a
problems.
big giant grid of 800 fountains, and it just was like candy on the lagoon. You just feel great. You feel like a little kid.
Yeah, that was seeing that the first time was unbelievable. We actually got to do the medium now.
Nice.
Got to do all the media events I felt that mattered. My time. It's a really beautiful show. Very, and it was one of those things when I saw it in 2010, I was like, I gotta get my parents out. And I finally just got them. They took their first trip the year before, but obviously World of Color was down. So we specifically made another trip that was like, you need to see World of Color. And I took them and we did the dessert party, and at the end, my mother just goes, "Oh, I'm so glad we came back for that."
Oh, that's awesome.
It was their favorite thing, yeah.
This is the coolest little space.
I said the same thing when I was watching this with Lauren. I'm like, this is the coolest garage.
I mean, they have. If you look at Test Track, they have a similar thing.
Oh, but this is awesome.
Well, yeah. But they still have these maintenance bays. Is my point.
Just junk.
Yeah, they're just. It's not as fun.
I didn't know that he was doing just a Cars Land not based on the movie.
Absolutely.
Carland.
Yeah, and then that it, literally they come out with a movie that fits perfect.
The coolest was the D23 Expo before Carsland opened. He was part of the presentation, and they showed all of the art and everything for Carland, which no one had ever seen before.
really
We're all
pretty.
like, oh, wow.
That's awesome.
So as they flash through the art, I'll quickly.
I still think this is the best land they ever created.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's one of for sure, if not. Mysterious Island. Is great.
So he's washing dishes.
Oh,
but like he's
yeah.
washing dishes here at Plaza, and they don't talk about it. But he also was a waiter at 33. So he was there for several years as well.
Oh, he was wearing his 33 jacket.
Yeah,
there,
they just don't mention it.
He looks like a Code 33 server. Feels like a thing. Look at the convention center by the way.
Here it is. Yeah, here it is.
I love it.
Everything in this land is great. Like the upside down cones with the water and
Fighting and fun, and you want to explore.
you just want to hang. I just hung out there. Like literally, I didn't even go on attractions. I just hung out.
It is Carland. So yeah, for me, like Cars Land is a lot like Pandora in the sense that like I don't particularly like love the film series, but that does not change the fact
Yeah.
that it's incredible. It is immersive.
I would agree.
Restaurant that didn't happen.
What happened here?
Well, much earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a copy of that. But Racers was always there as a Cars ride. They
Yep.
knew the movie was coming. But then once Lasseter came in with the Pixar purchase, they were like, why don't we just do the land? Like, why don't we just make it Cars? But the other stuff in there was like a sock hop diner, which had like Herbie parked outside. There was Goofy About Driving, which was a little like outdoor like Goofy ride.
Well, there
Sorts
was
of little gags and things.
like there was the Cone Cavern area was part of another like smaller kids ride. It was like a sort of Autopia-esque, but and then the Mater's was basically the same thing, but it was in a junkyard and it wasn't Cars themed. It was like a rock band or whatever.
Yeah, like a junk. Yeah, the cars were playing music.
I just like they
Hey,
went back
John
to like
Lasseter, everybody.
like they went back to like Disney-esque stuff, like sight lines. You can't see the outside world. That's what I hate about. When I went to that was my biggest shell shock when I went to Disneyland for the first time. I'm like, why are we so close to the real world?
Yeah, but then you go to Shanghai Disney and you just see show buildings all the time. So
Yeah. What's the difference?
Yeah, when I went to Disneyland from the balcony of our hotel, and I wasn't even staying on property, I was seeing people walking down Tomorrowland.
Yeah, so that's weird.
I was like, it's so weird that I can see someone.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem when you build where they built. You know, there's just nothing you can do about it.
But that's why I like
learn
this
a
land is that
lesson.
they thought about that.
Yeah, they're just.
I don't.
You can see the power lines behind Cat.
Yeah,
Right there.
this is probably. I'm not gonna say is there any more land to grab? Really? I mean,
California.
yeah,
They have another plot, which is a parking lot where they can bus people through.
yeah.
Make the same mistakes twice.
So you could have an entryway here.
Meanwhile, now we're destroying the views in Cars Land for Marvel. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you could just see the wet suppliers from Manor's junkyard. It's fine.
Nothing to the ordinary. It's not great.
This is when I care.
Yeah.
That is the entrance.
That
We
is.
did the grand opening event, and they walked us because it was like the press facility where you can do interviews and everything was backstage in like the parade warehouse or something. And so we came out of the side, and the land's just open, and everyone else is like getting set up for work and everything. And I just go to Connor, I'm like, I think we should just go in. It's like, I think so. We just walk around that corner and that opening.
It's amazing.
And I'm like, this is the most incredible thing I have ever seen. And no one was in the land. Like 3 other people knew you could go in. And it was just us alone on Racers the first time.
Whew.
And I flew across the floor on Luigi's, and I yelled at media as they came in, look, it works! And it did. People are just dumb. People kept stepping on the tires.
That was my biggest regret when I went. Luigi's flying tires was gone already, and I was like, oh no.
You'll never see that ride system ever.
Yeah.
They've tried it.
We
so
might
many
see it
times.
3 more times.
It's a shame. It was so fun. If you knew how to do it, it was tons of fun.
Keep it all.
But you gotta build for the dumb.
These are 98.
Built for the
That's part
dumb.
design. I mean, I'm saying it nicer than they do sometimes. Build for the dumb.
Which is kind of stupid. I feel like even if you couldn't do it, I feel like it's still fun. Even if you're trying to because it's like the process of trying to do it. I think.
Yeah,
would've
but
been-
people get annoyed that they waited 30 minutes and then never figured it out until the last 10 seconds.
Nah.
Like, oh, now we're going and the ride's off.
This
Good
is
job, everyone.
this is the detail, and I get why they do this, but it's incredible the amount of detail they put into these.
Yeah, models.
The rockwork god Zoltorme we're going to hear.
Yeah.
If you go back in our older podcast, I don't know if this one's available publicly or you have to be a Wigs member. But when we did this media event, I did dozens of interviews. One of them is Zoltorme. It's one of my favorite interviews I've ever done.
The Joe Rody of rocks.
How like the rock is gonna fade and when they would have to go back up and repaint, and it just was a really fun interview. And he was really into the questions. That was always the best when they would get really into the questions you asked because they weren't something that the regular media would ask.
Yeah.
He did Pandora and Galaxy's Edge too, right?
Yeah, I mean he's sort of Big Thunder. I mean he's done pretty much all of them. He refused to go to Shanghai, but otherwise he did all of them. He's so great at his job.
We start out spraying on a fairly wet material.
Real down to earth guy, fun to talk
the
to.
cement hardens, you need to know exactly what kind of tools you can use, what kind of brushes.
It's
you can shape it at this
it is the most subtle but creative artistry. I mean, like the
Again, it's the
ideas
little
that
things.
you don't think about it.
Yep.
And that's why it's
So good.
harder to do. I was curious about the honorary Imagineer hat. Because he's not specifically an Imagineer, correct? It's
A little
raining.
bit of thunder.
Raining here in Florida. How else to shut up?
No, I think we should all give each other a hug.
No.
Why not?
Someone said, you don't want that air is
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Not the one he's wearing.
You literally want the one off his back?
knowing.
The dish.
Yeah, they had a mock-up of this at that expo too. You can step in and watch the virtual ride through.
You have to look like someone from London.
I like the hat. I like the uniqueness to it. It's raining out.
To help us in the design process.
I hope I have my windows up.
On computer graphics, and then virtual reality-based pre-visualization, which is the space that we're in here right now. That's called the dish. That stands either for the digital.
And they still use this, correct?
Yeah.
The Disney holodeck, depending on how you want to skin the
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, and this is why I say that sightline should never be a problem, because
You can figure it out.
Like, back in the day, they were doing it with just with balloons.
Yeah.
I mean, you now have this.
Yeah.
Like, if your sightlines don't turn out great, like, what did you do?
That's an active choice then.
Then it's like a budgetary
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We don't capture it here.
And we use that to make sure that we've got the timing and the story beats and the ride all worked out.
Poor man's Tony
I was
Shalhoub.
gonna say.
Before they
Hard to
record.
run on the road on rubber tires. They don't run like a roller coaster that's nice and smooth. There were lots of proposals to try to do this in a more Disney.
I can't believe they were going to try it with
high
roller
speed.
coaster.
Yeah,
Terrible.
it's surprising that they
just
never thought of
hated
anything
using
else.
the test track system so much that they were like, do we have to? And then everybody went to Disney World. They're like, yeah, we have to.
We kept saying, this is it. This is the ride system. Because you could start and stop, and you could be able to do the storytelling. And then it accelerates and you go.
It's amazing. And then you go to this, you're like, oh. It's like, it's just.
Oh, it's the worst version. Like, think about the other two rides. Well, other than Rocket Rods, which closed. Think about the two rides that exist that use this ride system. It's Radiator Springs Racers and Journey to the Center of the Earth. Two of the absolute greatest things
Yeah.
they've ever done.
And then Test Track.
And then Test Track.
Which has the downside of being in a old building and being the first, and that's always the worst. So
Second is the best.
I want to give it a little bit of
Third is
flack.
the one.
The original, great at the time. The overlay was good for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just
And then
didn't-
like 6 months later, you're like, this age.
Look at all the dust.
Like, yeah, like this doesn't feel like the future. It just looks old and forgotten.
I love what he says here.
I mean, they're great figures.
Yeah, I agree. This blew my mind the first time I went on it. I thought it probably is one of the best rides made.
All that's traced back to that 1966 pirate.
Puppet show last night. Who's that?
Who's Walt
Ka-chow.
Lightning, lightning.
McQueen.
McQueen.
What's coming back? I'm going for the start of that too. I'm gonna film myself in the little parade.
When I went back to work in Imagineering in Glendale, and I was sitting in traffic one day, and I happened to look out my window.
The Butte.
Somebody made a joke about this.
Looks like an acorn.
Like we all get like it was like we get a shirt or something of the philosophical Butte in the sky. Like, it's a weird thing.
But it's like, as someone who did big projects like films and stuff, and you get so involved, and then you're done.
Yeah.
You do have that weird like,
It's not yours anymore.
what am I supposed to do? Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling. It's an absence.
By the way, when that's being taken, I am 30 feet to the side in the flow seating area.
Just the whole park felt bigger.
I wish you were in the background of that photo, though.
I'm in episode 6.
Are you?
Oh yeah, you'll see.
They needed
I'm in episode 6.
That's amazing.
They needed a villain, so.
Very short. You gotta really look for me. You can see the other people in my party better than you can see me, but I'm there.
Imagineer dilemma. To what degree should a park or even a cherished
Make him wink.
All
There
right,
you go.
here we go. Here's the problem part of this episode.
I knew this was coming.
Oh, it makes me angry.
Yeah.
One foot in the past, one foot in the future.
Like, we understand the museum thing. I don't want everything to not change. So when I think Kim says it. She says things like no one wants anything to change. Kim, you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's a mean
Well-
thing to say. You know it's incorrect.
Yeah. And it's also wasn't there an article with her where she said the same stuff, and people got kind of. Yeah.
You change the scenes that become stale.
Yeah.
You don't change the scenes that people come back for.
Right.
That's the difference. Like, certainly scenes age.
Yeah.
Some scenes that were great in the 60s don't work by the 2000s.
Right. And I think
I understand.
And I think there are certain things like the redhead where we can have interesting discussions about does it still work or doesn't, and those are discussions, and those are decisions that you sort of like lean one way or the other, and they make a choice. But there are other areas where it's like, no, why would you? Why? You know, like there's no reason.
Our big problem as a community is what he's going to talk about now is just people who immediately, like, the idea comes out and immediately people are like, no, no.
Yeah.
Which I like to, like, yeah, I could be like, oh, I don't like the idea, we'll see what they do, which is how we were with the redhead. And then it debuted, and I was like, no.
Yeah, you just didn't like it.
No, you didn't do a good job either, so you also got rid of this, and then also gave us a
Right.
drunk Irish woman, which to me is as offensive, but we won't get into it.
You watch your mouth. Nothing wrong with a drunk Irish woman. As a matter of fact,
I will say though, this is
perfect.
a great example of if they're going to use that description at the beginning of plussing. This is a great example.
But it's
of that
also
plussing.
seasonal.
Exactly.
Like, this was a thing that could go away in January.
Yeah, and if it didn't work,
it's very different.
And if it didn't work and no one liked it,
didn't have to come back.
It didn't have to come
Correct.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's like a tradition.
You took chances, but you were true to what it was.
Yeah.
But it also was seasonal. Like, that was the thing I think that let people go, was the fact that, oh, this will be gone in January. I will get my mansion back.
It's certainly the most advanced seasonal overlay.
It's massive.
It's
gotta be
when
super
we're over
costly.
here, like with Christmas lights at Living with the Land, like this is insane.
The
I know.
fun fact is we built one, and then we decided, operations got scared. They were like, oh, people are going to be mad if they come and it's closed.
Right.
So what are we going to do? And since then they sold it to Tokyo, who has an identical mansion. So Tokyo bought it, just threw in what we designed, and got our overlay.
I think it's okay to have only one of those overlays in America. I think it makes it specific, but this is what you don't
We
like.
have to talk about this.
Yes, this is that
There's
article.
a lot of problems with it.
Yeah.
She makes it seem
Number
like the end of the world.
Most of the problems were not with the characters. It was the America scene. The America scene was the thing no one wanted. They said Walt didn't want it because it's in America. They didn't need to have a scene. They're the host country. It was thrown away. That was, I think, the bigger problem most people had.
It's a
The
mole
other thing
world
is,
after all.
Like Mary Blair's family, they skip over a lot of things. Like Mary Blair's family came out and said that they didn't want this and things like that. And they don't touch upon that because it looks bad because they talk up Mary.
I will
And so
I
it
will
doesn't
also
play
say
for
that
her.
even mentioning this though is more than what we could expect. Like
You had
to go in, I agree, and to go into this from a documentarian standpoint, at least they talk about it. Whether they bring it at
It's
its full
such
flesh.
a produced version of it.
Sure.
Is the problem. Like, you're not being honest with anyone.
Well,
So this America scene is junk. It is garbage. The dolls don't move as much as the dolls from the 60s. There's a weird thing that's supposed to be a cow in a barn, but it looks like an elephant. Like, it is. There's dolls that don't even sing. They're just immobile.
Well, and I think what we from this episode's perspective, right, and every episode is they've never let in third-party interviews, right? It's always been Imagineering giving their version. And I think that makes sense on Disney Plus. But for them to even ask these questions and to bring it up, I think is, as filmmakers, at least admirable. Whether we like the responses that they give, at least they don't. It'd be worse to not acknowledge that this was a big deal.
Yeah.
They added the popular movie character Jack Sparrow.
I like that it looks like he's wearing that dress in that shot.
I love how they just quickly kind
This
of.
is a quick. We jumped the redhead scene very quickly.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about it.
But
I feel like it just happened though too.
Yeah.
Even the animatronics already spasming in the press footage.
She's drunk.
But like Kim, like I know she took a lot of public criticism.
Yeah, that's tough too.
But it was also fair. Fair
Fair from fair criticism. The internet is not kind.
I mean,
I get
yeah,
that.
some of the things are.
You don't need to like harass people.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. But like we're free to talk about our opinions and sit here and be like, oh, we don't think this thing.
Sure,
works.
of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
we
would
wouldn't
never
harass
say-
people like
I would
Chase
never
has.
say anything mean about Kim.
This is the Jackpot Montage. Is what I
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
it. It's like throwing dice in Vegas.
I'm
And
gonna buy it.
it's like after you win the lottery and
Yeah,
they show
we
buying
bought
the
Star
car
Wars and we
buying
paid
the
it
yacht,
and we paid it off 12
getting-
months later.
It's the Pretty Women scene, getting in the nice suit, and
What's Pretty Women?
don't worry about it. Oh, where's that? Why is
That is super
That
cool.
was a thing we did a while ago. I don't know why it never materialized in anything.
I was like, is that the footage
Materialized.
from Winnie the Pooh with the honey?
Yeah, it's so cool.
Well, they use that artwork still, but they don't get. It's not playful anymore.
But with those plans years away, Bob made clear his expectation. Progress waits for no one. The second pillar of his strategy emphasized.
I mean, I think.
Is that a young Michael
I
Eisner?
think we can really. Always with the jokes. I think we can agree that the creation of R&D saved creativity inside of Imagineering. It allowed them that branch. If there was no funding for that, we'd be almost 100% third party at this point.
I know the Muses just did an episode on female Imagineers. Tarina didn't get mentioned in that.
I think it's
yeah. Fantastic. If you want a great example of a current female Imagineer,
it's completely scalable. So
this is fascinating. Yeah.
I personally like these.
Grizzly.
Oh, me too. I have no issue. I love it when they talk about like animatronics as lighting because of the projection.
See, I like them in this Snow White, but I don't like them on the Frozen ride, where it's like it just looks.
It's because they're not the cartoons.
They're not shaped right, or the faces,
they're too human.
Yeah.
The problem is it works when they're dwarfs and they're already weird shapes.
Yeah.
Anna and Elsa are,
maybe that's it.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Their animation.
This is cool.
Perfect.
Here is the example of how what plussing should be.
Yes.
Taking something and making it so much more
where
than
there
you
was
ever thought
nothing.
It could be.
Yeah.
There was something there. The eyes would light up in the smoke, and but it was like you knew
but that's
you
next
now have
level.
the technology to do what you actually want to do, which is like make the curse real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's plussing at its best.
And the same thing. Even I was literally about to say the castle. I love the castle projections.
Oh, it's wild.
It's unbelievable. I mean, everyone knows my opinion on projections.
What we just
everywhere.
saw about that forest there, would that be something that they could use for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway?
I think that was a stage show thing, but it could be something like that. Maybe a lot of
Ideas don't die.
This part is fantastic. This is like what the whole documentary shows. They're showing you while they're in there doing the work on the ride. Like, so lights on, like stripping the sets.
I love this too, when it's like the announcement in the middle of filming.
Well, and she's like, we had problems.
I love the story about the ducks too. Yeah.
Unfortunately, pooping all over our freshly painted show floor, so
S happens.
Yeah. The magic of Disney is not
magic happens.
Well, no, the magic of Disney is that they somehow create stuff even when all this stuff happens. Like that's really the magic of it, is to be able to get past a lot of these both creative and logistical issues, and then it turns out
a beautiful reading.
Yeah.
Another great, actually plus.
Yeah.
Not adding an America scene that makes no sense.
There should be an America scene in Peter Pan though.
Here and doesn't match the rest of the existing ride. Doing stuff that's tasteful, but modern, and that adds to the attraction.
Yeah.
That's plus. Should feel like it should have been there all along.
This quote by Arthur C. Clarke is actually a vision statement for our department. Our job is
well, and that's sort of the difference is like if you think about it in the terms of like special editions of films and stuff, we have no issue when they 4K digitize this It's a Wonderful Life, right? And they clean it up and they take the spots out and it's beautiful. We have issues when Ted Turner colorizes it. And bad Imagineering is when you colorize the ride instead of simply restoring it to or pristining it in some sort of way. I don't know if that's a verb, but pristine.
I've experienced this attraction since I was a little kid. That bringing my kids through after
83.
And just, marveling at how we have made it so much better but still respected the original. And now we get to do the same thing. So that's what excites me, of just being part of this. That's been part of my childhood. And
it's interesting that they chose Peter Pan of all the 60th refurb. No Matterhorn, they didn't do Hatbox.
I think Pan is.
I will be eternally grateful.
They had good footage.
So yeah, and it's really legendary.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more iconic than the other ones.
Mansion or Matterhorn?
No,
I think
wouldn't say
more.
it's
I wouldn't
iconic.
look at the wait times.
I would say visually, it's a larger plus than the other two. This is when I thought the episode was over. I was like, oh, all right.
will say I don't like Shanghai very much, but their Peter Pan is absolutely the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really special. Now, cruise line commercial.
And
You
this
get
is
the
when
back of Tom Staggs for 2 seconds.
And this is when I run to the restroom.
That is all the Tom Staggs.
Good time for a bet.
Sorry.
I'll play the role of Nathan.
Please don't.
Yes.
Smart technology should lift every experience.
Walt and the original Imagineers got it right in a big way when they designed Disneyland. We didn't forget that when we thought about designing these ships. The great thing about timeless things is that they can be mixed in.
Visually, the ships do look gorgeous, though. Like,
Yeah, the one thing I've heard about this restaurant though is if you sit near the mosaics, it's great, and if you don't, it's terrible. So that's what people who've been on the cruise have told me. So like, yeah, the mosaics are beautiful, but if you don't sit near them, it's just like you're eating on a cruise ship.
Certain pieces of this artwork will come to life when you stand in front of it. And since it's a piece of artwork that you stood in front of, it is performing.
I'm excited to spend half of a day just looking at that.
Giant ship with thousands of other guests, and you're getting this very intimate.
that's cool. I love that. That I love.
Making this kind of personal connection with a captive audience
You got hosed.
was one thing. Achieving that in a theme park proved much harder.
Dumbo interactive queue. A great playground.
Yeah.
No queue lines. People will still be waiting.
All these things are now turned off thanks to the Play Disney Parks app.
And the challenge is
Really?
to stuff on it.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they just give up on the app and go back to building.
Really?
things for people to do.
Yeah, that's the best.
I want to touch this.
Yes.
I want to open my phone. Let me play with things in the queue. I feel like guest response was a lot better.
This goes back to well, even the rides itself. We don't. You and I both like would rather an animatronic than a screen.
Yeah.
I'd rather have something that is physical on a line than a screen in my hand. I don't have a problem with the Play app if it's as a complement to awesome queues.
Well, I find it funny because isn't it in this episode that one of the Imagineers are like, oh my people are just looking at their phones all the time.
Yeah, and it's
like-
yeah, and then you came up with the app. Yeah.
It's like I like how you're complaining about it, but
Yeah, it's like their job is to make you not use your
yeah,
phone.
right there.
Focus. I mean, can I create something where they're not doing this all
Yeah. Let's do the Play app.
And you did, and then
Which they did great. I love those interactive cues. Peter Pan, Seven Dwarfs.
We have it in like a dangerous zone. Like I understand, like when I go into an attraction for the first time, I've chosen this job. Like I know my first time is going to be a camera in my face, and I'm documenting it and getting ready to share it with people for the first time. Then the second time, I don't do anything. Like my second time on rides, my phone was away.
Yeah.
I'm not working. But then I see all these people who don't own websites, don't blog, don't do any of these things, filming the whole thing. I'm like, you know, before I did this, I didn't film the rides or anything. I have some pictures of us, like family pictures in places.
Yeah.
I didn't take pictures of rides.
just
and
everything,
filming.
yeah.
I went and I experienced it. I don't understand like the cultural like sharing thing and needing like I understand taking a picture or two for I want to put on Facebook that we Kylo Ren.
Yeah, but like a 12-minute video.
But like
Yeah.
you needed to post the whole ride so 6 people in your family can see it. Like 400,000 people have already filmed this ride. Why don't you just you waited all these hours just enjoy it?
Yeah.
I think it's also a cultural mindset of everyone can do this kind of thing, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna do a blog, I'm gonna do this,
And
I'm
I
gonna.
respect like I respect other people who want to pick this up and start doing it. Like
Yeah.
that's what I did. I just don't understand if that's not your goal. If you're like just doing it to share. Like I'll see people like just streaming like to 2 people, and I'm like, why? Like, why don't you just enjoy it?
Yeah.
Like I would kill to just enjoy it. You know, but I took on a responsibility.
No, but you also have the luxury, because I say this too, like, you know, I've taped things the first time too, but we can go on multiple times and then.
That's also true. I just noticed these people on vacation are just like.
But there are professionals who are filming these multiple times and editing them together for your entertainment value online. You don't need your own experience.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, I think that's the key.
There's lots of people, and I'm not saying we're even the best at it. We often go for speed and giving it to you first, but there are certainly other people who, like in a couple weeks, will have a Rise video that's multi-angle and beautiful.
Well, and I think when rides are closing, that's when we really make a nice video. Yeah.
When we know.
Oh, okay. Just so everyone knows where we're at, Mystic Manor. That's what's going on.
That's what this
we have
is.
Some beautiful. This is. Clearly I've not been to Hong Kong. I've not ridden this. This is still in my top probably 3 or 4 favorite rides.
It's maybe the only reason to go to Hong Kong, but it is enough of a reason.
Yeah.
Really?
I can't believe that they built what feels like a 1960s Disney e-ticket in 2013.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe, 4 years removed from Toy Story Land, that this happened.
Visually, it's gorgeous.
I would kill to have this in the States. I think it's a perfect.
Who would you kill?
Well, it's not a perfect thing necessarily, but like you could put, because it's an Explorer, you could put it in Harambe or Animal Kingdom or Adventureland would be the best place for it.
Like Skipper Canteen.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the perfect place for it.
That'd be sick.
I just don't know if there's space.
Tear down that tree.
The restaurant next door is cool too. The Adventures.
Well, and it's so different. I mean, I know it's their Haunted Mansion, but it's so different. You could put it in Magic Kingdom. There'd be no. It's not the same thing at all. Yeah.
It's so special.
I like how it's connected to sea.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely. The more sea, the better.
I eat anything up, like all sea. Just give it to me.
Retconning.
Everybody can't be connected in the sea thing.
Yeah. Big Thunder really didn't need to be a part of.
Oh, I like the Big Thunder.
Which is your issue?
Mary Ocean. I think they're about to like overdo it. I feel like they're about to.
They have full control over the guest's point of view without them realizing.
The song.
Elfman.
The Elfman.
And I love like the thought of, he has all these different collections, so all the rooms are so different in theme.
Yeah.
And you get to touch on all these things, like there's mansion stuff, and tiki room stuff, and then original characters, and a great new score, and a new ride system, and just everything about it. And Joe Lancicero retired after this. Was a hell of a thing to retire.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Retiring your magnum opus. The other thing that's ingenious about it, very little dialogue, if any.
Well, they said they talk about it right here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's why it works for everyone.
Every scene in between relied on music.
It's sort of amazing that we've reached episode 5 and so little has been said about music.
Yeah.
There was a little bit in another episode. Yeah. A little bit about. Oh, this is when they talk about.
That should be its own. That should be another episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just be like,
You can do 2 hours on that. Yeah.
Where there was like a vibe and a musical tone that kind of stuck with me.
I mean, I listened to Gavin Greenway for an hour and I was enthralled.
But this is how you fix a park. You got a park that was a problem. You're like, well, what are the things? What is the DNA that's missing from Hong Kong Disneyland that the other Magic Kingdoms have? And it was like an original e-ticket.
Yeah, beautiful dark ride.
Characters. You know, we need like a really well-themed roller coaster.
We don't talk enough about Buddy Baker.
No.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about the lyricists.
This is probably one of our largest scenes in the attraction. It's our arms and armory models. And the music might even imply that we're in a little bit of danger. Absolutely. I think at this point in the attraction, we want to start to heighten that idea that anything can happen. There was a lot of technical issues that had to get solved that were really tricky. The puzzle of how the music.
The sound design, and the other thing I would love to hear them talk about is sound design. design.
Yeah.
Especially with these newer rides where people are experiencing the same scenes but at different points. Like Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, like the sound design, how they accomplish that. Like it's talking to stuff outside of the submarine, but it's got to come in, but it's also got to be phased.
Isn't there a documentary that talks about that a little bit? About how they like hide sound and throw sound? I've seen it discussed somewhere.
The modern stuff is way more interesting. So like this ride, like figuring out, like he could talk, I'm sure, for 30 minutes about how they had to time music so that every car gets.
And Danny, if you'd like to, there's a podcast that you could do it on.
That's the Pete Carney.
No, definitely not.
This is actual magic.
Oh my god.
That's so cool.
And the first couple times I couldn't figure it out, and then like there was a little bit of light from someone's phone. I was like, oh, that's.
It's so simple too.
It is, but it's magnificent. Like I saw that, like this magical stream of light was just floating in the air, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know how they did it.
Now, do you think this is what we use for story light, or is it all projection mapping?
Oh, and spaceship, yeah.
You'll see here one of my favorite bits. I think it's
the cracked
the panda.
The panda,
Panda comes out of one piece of art and then gets trapped in another one, but he's like has the screaming face in the second one.
In 2012,
Hong Kong posted its first profits after opening their expansion, building themed immersive lands based on original product.
Yep.
And now it's time. We just went from something that I don't think people talk about enough, which is Mystic Manor, to the most overhyped piece of trash I've ever been on in my entire life.
I'm very glad I know you, and I have very low expectations. Maybe I'll enjoy it.
You'll be happy. Yeah, everyone else will love it.
I'll be okay with it because you've hated it for as long as I've known you.
Some guy tweeted this week, like, wrote the Ratatouille ride. Oh man, it was great. I love the mix of stuff and blah blah blah. And I wrote something sarcastic underneath, and all the Paris fans, usually are not big fans of mine, all liked it. And they're very protective of their parks, the Paris fans.
Yeah.
So they're not
they went
ones
through a
to
lot.
admit things are bad. But they all seem to be in agreement that it's too much.
They're Tommy Corliss.
Here's a model with physical scenes. They were going to do it. They were going to do it.
They make it seem in this part too that it's like a perfect blend of all different technologies.
Yeah, they make
you see the floor the whole time.
That's my biggest thing with this.
They do. There's a lack of actual showing this ride.
That's the restaurant. That's not even the ride.
Yeah.
I love the restaurant. The restaurant's great.
The one thing we're not getting.
Yep. Yeah. That is correct. We're showing these two physical scenes.
Why is it just? Do you think they would do it in the?
The deal with
I imagine that was the
chefs
problem.
people is that they operate everything in the France pavilion. They asked them, "Would you operate Chez Remy?" And they said, "No. We will not operate your cartoon restaurant."
Yeah, your cartoon restaurant.
That's got to be a new character.
Take that to Space 2020. This is just Spider-Man. This isn't new.
Though? Yeah, but the thing is, like, in Spider-Man, you can't see the floor because they built the screen with that thing on the front.
Correct.
Even in this previs, you can see the floor. You knew it was there. It's up against this, and in the video is this white tile floor. So it's white tile floor, and then there's this black floor, and you're somehow it's moving through space. You're like, I'm not going anywhere. There's a black floor here.
Yeah.
I know I'm not moving.
Those are odd cars. I don't like the look of them.
They don't look like a character from the movie.
It's what's weird.
It does look very carnival-like.
I was talking to my roommate about this exact thing after we rode Rise of the Resistance.
Rise, yeah.
And it's like you don't see that bottom black area.
Yeah.
You don't see that in Rise.
Well, there's no big screen.
Everything is at least in windowed or curved in a way. You don't have full size. Yeah.
I'm like, I hate the fact that you now are getting on a cart with a rat on top. Like, it's just.
See, this is where the problem is. Like, see, you can even see it right there. You saw it. That's what the whole ride is: a black floor that's not moving.
There it is.
You're moving, and the screen is moving, and it makes no sense. The pantry.
Right there, yeah.
I think it frustrates me. You're watching it right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
What frustrates me is the two physical scenes. So like the load area and that pantry are beautiful.
It's almost like that reminds me of like you went on Soarin', but it didn't go all the way up halfway to the screen. You just went halfway, and you could just see the bottom.
Look how pretty that is.
Yeah.
And if that would have been the whole ride, we'd be talking about this in the same breath that we were Mystic Manor. The same way we just talked about that. It'd be like, oh, Ratatouille is one of the best things they ever did.
They are talking this one up a little too long.
They spend too much time on this for what it is. It was not some big achievement.
And now that you guys talked about it too, I really do hate those ride vehicles.
Which one?
Just the cartoonish mouse.
Oh, the mouse ones. I thought you meant the restaurant.
The restaurant looks amazing.
Seats are all bottle caps.
Yeah, that looks
If you look underneath the
Even the
table,
outside,
the
this
faces
looks
are
gorgeous.
bottle-
This
oh,
is
it's beautiful.
this looks gorgeous.
Yeah, Place de Remy is very pretty. Very pretty.
Like if we get this in that little roundabout,
we are,
yeah,
yeah.
like that's gorgeous.
Yeah, that'll be good.
It's a dead end, and it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
This is the best part of the episode.
Yeah, this is when everyone cries. Yeah. Colleen, tissues,
Good way or a
stat.
bad way? In a good way? In a sad way? In a teary way?
Tokyo in a very short amount of time has become like my happy place, and I also a big part of that is watching them enjoy it, because it's how I wish, like when I came here, it's how I wish I saw everybody here. I wish everybody here had that love and admiration.
Opposed to it being some sort of family obligation check mark.
Yeah, and that love, and I see how much it means to them, and so to see this, like, this is this place of pure joy and wonder, and like the fountain shaking, things are breaking.
And I didn't realize how long they stayed closed for too. They stayed closed for a long time.
Because they said they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because unlike in America, they wouldn't just come out and be like, it is okay to go back.
Yeah.
Which is.
Oh yeah, when he starts talking about it, what is Kevin? What's his name?
He'll pop
yeah, he
up
talks about it right here. Daniel. Yeah. I was watching this.
This one, to protect guests, goes and takes giant Duffies and Shelly Mays for them to put over their heads.
Yeah. I was watching this, and Lauren literally like came out of the shower and walked past during this part and just watched maybe 3 minutes of this and started crying, like, because it's so good.
Yeah, this is one of, beyond Walt's passing and like Bob Gurr choking up, this is probably the most like emotional point of the documentary, I think.
I don't know. Tom said 6 is really emotional.
It's for different reasons.
Yeah, this is a hard.
What's amazing is, like, still to now, there is cracked concrete in a lot of places. Like, they just never got around to it.
It's also, but how about like a credit to Disney where, and they did talk about it already, but where like through this huge disaster where the rest of the country,
everything was fine.
and like and it was like the safest place to be.
Let's give OLC maybe the better credit.
Well, they designed for one thing. No matter what corners they cut, they always design for the
safety,
natural disasters that are prone.
True.
But even here, when there's a hurricane, people are like, "Are you okay? What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "I'm gonna go to Disney if there's a hurricane. Like, it's probably safer than my place." Yeah, this is hard.
And you go, this is what we do.
Yeah, that lady on the right.
The woman crying.
Yeah. Oh, the hug. There's a shot. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Yeah. What else? What else is the point?
They feel how I feel, and that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I love that they love it at the level we love it at.
Sometimes I feel like.
Appreciate it.
Sometimes I think of Disney, at least management, as like, you know, the dad in the Christmas movie that's too busy, and then like in the end figure like, oh, I need to like spend time with my kids, and that's sort of the problem sometimes is like they're just too busy making Star Wars to like take care of what they actually need to take care of, and then there's moments, sadly tragic moments, where they sort of can reflect.
Yeah.
Through mock-ups and through staging and warehouse and factory visits, and then that opening day when the guests actually get on the ride for the first time.
My favorite thing about opening ride is watching the Imagineers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
I love like seeing them, and all they want to do is just see how you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And like at Rise, like I just remember all their faces.
Yeah.
I
They
shook
would
all their
stop
hands.
Yes, and be like,
Yeah.
"Did you love it?" And they're like, "Yeah," and like their faces. It's such a cute.
It's probably literally the least we can do, but it's the best when you're there.
I want to hug all of them. Like, I wanted to hug every single one of them.
Well, that's what was so good about it.
And so like that's the moment where you finally see like, did it work? Like,
Are you happy?
Yeah. And then sometimes you come off of Ant-Man and the Wasp and you're like,
sorry guys.
Good job.
Sorry guys.
And they're like, yeah, we delivered it on time and under budget. I was like, you sure did.
You sure did.
You start handing them money.
I'm
Here.
go back to buying this limited edition watch for your bad ride now.
We all make bad choices.
It's an opening day watch is an opening day watch.
Pollyanna fluff or escapism. But the Imagineers contend
They do a lot of this miniature-esque looking
This was
footage.
all the stuff Disney did as soon as like they bought this camera.
Yeah.
And they filmed every Disney park, so they were like, let's use it. It's good footage.
It's cute.
It's good.
They do use it a lot.
I like this cool.
And he said the meaning of the parks is very simple. It's you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
That he meant. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. It doesn't matter how screwed up your life is.
This is literally what I try to explain to people even before I moved here about why I love Disney.
Yeah.
Because they're like, it doesn't make sense for you to like Disney, Pete. And this is what I try to. This is literally pretty much what I said word for word.
Play this quote from management.
Yeah.
Like every time, like they're like, "Why are people mad that we're getting rid of the country bears?" And they should just play this bit where they're like, "You're gonna be okay."
So was that Hinch, right? That was the quote from Hinch. Yeah.
The RAF.
Hinch. Hinch is so smart and interesting. Red Palms. John Hinch.
Red Palms.
Yep.
Go to a place and enjoy your friends and family, and we need it more than ever.
Did they say this here too? That like even in times like in down times in like the economy, like people spend money on.
Oh, what you just said.
Yeah.
And then everything went wrong. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
And then we. And
No,
then
but
we
no, but this is like.
compromised
But
our
even in his
ethics.
book, Bob Iger does talk about like, and I think why he talks about this so much is how hard it was for him. This is probably
White Whale.
A lot of things came easy to Bob. I think like, and I'm saying that in a complimentary way. Like he's very good at what he does. I feel like this was such a hard project for him.
Above all the acquisitions.
Well, and we have to, and it.
Six
the,
sweater vests.
The determination is it ethical to do it, but then also is it a way of bringing Western culture into a society that will ultimately help change it into something better. One can make both arguments. It's a difficult argument either way.
Here's my view on all of this. Was that Eisner
Ladies,
had his
by the way, we're just gonna keep rolling, or are we gonna pause it and talk? Okay, so just keep it rolling. Once it goes to the next one, we'll keep watching.
Yeah, Eisner had his parts, his things, and I think Iger definitely wanted to blaze his own trail.
Yeah.
And I think he knew he had to have his own part.
Yeah. We're at, by the way,
10 seconds.
Oh, we're gonna stop.
Oh, we are gonna
For a
stop.
couple minutes, yeah.
Okay.
He had to blaze his own trail, and I think he wanted to set. He was very downtrodden after he tried to get the LA football thing to happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop that for a second. He tried to get the LA football thing to happen. It didn't happen, and it was like, oh, I guess I can't do anything. And so I think he went on this path of I have to accomplish all these things, and the next time I try to do something in the public, realm, it goes my way.
Initial thoughts on episode 5? Or just.
I integrate it.
I liked it a lot.
I think I went in with trepidation, and I left going, okay. Like I felt like it was for the most part fairly honest, and it was still
the ride overhaul thing, and Kim Irvine getting a little too.
They jumped around a lot, but I did like how they ended it on that emotional note. And like you said, I feel like they should just show the last 10 minutes of that episode to all of management.
It's a well constructed episode, and I think it does well in using people who are currently in play, but not necessarily serving them fully. Now let's see how that pans out in episode 6.
Yeah.
But
also, I don't want. this is, to be fair as well, you've been to Shanghai and we know your thoughts on it. As someone who hasn't, I'm curious in this episode to see how they portray it, because I know how you feel about it. And so we'll see what happens.
Well,
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Like, as someone that hasn't gone, just looking at publicity and all that, it seems like a nice park to go to kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, how...
Yeah, but then you sit at Stage 89 and we had someone who worked on Soaring Over the Horizon.
Yeah.
Right.
And he had a very different story from what anything in this episode is going to tell you.
Yeah.
I tend to believe him.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah.
But I think 5 is a really accurate representation of 05 to 2015. I don't feel like I disagreed with anything except like Kim Irvine's little part. Other than
Which is
that,
an opinion opposed to like story structure.
Yeah, for sure. But otherwise, I think it's a really nice little look at that decade.
Anything they didn't cover that you guys think they should have? That wasn't covered.
It's hard to cover. I mean,
There's a lot that happened in those
cool
years.
Stuff I would have liked to have heard about. I would like them to just be able to spend more time on stuff. Like, I would love a documentary that's that California Adventure overhaul, but like spend time like, oh, this is what we're going to do for Carland, and this is what this is what World of Color was originally going to be, and this is what it became and what it went through. And I would like something I can stop and spend time on those individual projects. I don't need a whole show on World of Color, but if you want to do like a California Adventure overhaul, like through the project, like the pitfalls, the successes,
right?
All of those things, I would love that.
Specific moments.
That'd be great.
They also
just chronicling that project.
Yeah.
In this episode too, I mean, and I don't know if this is for better or for worse, but they don't really talk a lot about Walt Disney World through 05 and 15 in that episode.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
I was going to say to do anything.
That was kind of our quiet period. New Fantasyland gets glossed over, which is weird.
Yeah.
That was a big project.
What they do, I mean, what's interesting is they seem to sort of start with Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah, they show the but they just show a quick clip. They don't even talk about
the
ride.
projection face thing.
Yeah.
But it is, it's a gloss over. Interesting.
Which is funny too, because when I used to come down just as a fan and not lived here, I did Dining with an Imagineer, and one of the Imagineer we worked with was one of the leads on New Fantasyland. So like that's a project I was really excited to hear about, and that's why I was like, oh, I wonder. Again, I don't know, and I'm guessing it's not in 6, but I feel like that was a big project for Walt Disney World, redoing an entire land, like taking out 20,000 Leagues, like repurposing an entire. Yeah. That's the biggest part of the biggest part of the biggest park in Florida.
They did.
We weren't the failing one though. This episode seemed to be all about like these parks
fixing
well.
things. Yeah, from a narrative perspective, this was a.
But it's a carousel of progress. It was called. I mean, it's moving forward.
Stuff, none of it was revolutionary. Like I love New Fantasyland. It's very pretty, but I don't know. Like
Little Mermaid was already done.
Oh, we built a dark ride. Oh,
yeah.
They built a second castle. I mean, again, I'm just saying.
They built a model of a castle.
Yeah.
Yeah. A tiny town.
I like it.
But beyond covering a little bit of that, I think it's pretty.
Yeah, I said it was a great episode.
I was worried. I think we talked about how we were worried that they weren't going to cover international stuff as much.
Lots of international
we
stuff.
First talking about it, and I think they've done a good job of that. So we're at 0-0, paused at 0-0 for episode.
To infinity.
To infinity and beyond.
And beyond.
Well, you can't read the subtitle. Should we read the? Here, I'll get it. I'll get it on here. Let's see here. Oh, here we go.
To infinity and beyond. The Imagineers open a new Disney resort in China, then create blockbuster worlds of immersion.
As in, they blow them up.
That's a better sentence than the original. Wasn't there a different?
Oh, there's a longer description.
Yeah.
That you were given. This is what's on Disney Plus. Are you ready, everybody?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So
I'm very sad about that.
So we're back at menu.
Yes. So on the count of 3, I'm going to hit the button and hopefully.
I'm happy it says season 1, as if there might be a second season.
Right. That's exactly.
Who knows?
All right. 1, 2.
Da 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 da. Here we go.
Oh, that beautiful animatronic.
That's so cool. That's so sick.
Oh my gosh.
Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast opening in Tokyo Disneyland.
Is that the trip you're taking me on?
Everyone else is booked already. You better book.
It's still always you, and it's still.
I didn't know the dates.
I asked Jason.
All right.
Hando.
There's Thomas Onaka.
Look at that, Doc Ondar and the Beast living together. My boys.
It's my favorite odd couple.
Camel Man.
Yeah, great odd couple.
Oh, hey, here we go. So we have Light Cycle.
I'll let you build that Camel Man and Doc Octopus's
Avatar.
antique shop.
Star Wizzy.
So where are we ending on? What's our big?
What do you think we're ending?
Star Wars.
I think it looks like we're going back. Yeah,
Mickey's
Shanghai
Fun Wheel.
Castle.
Them announcing another park.
Yeah, right here. Yeah.
But I mean, where do you think the show's at?
Oh, it's Star Wars.
Rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be correct.
These big letters always remind me of Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
Behind the magic of every Disney theme.
Our one.
One guy with a shovel, no excavators.
We've edited out the smog.
Yeah, seriously.
Shanghai.
It was gray every day.
Received permission to
Gray all
build
day.
the newest Magic Kingdom, the Shanghai Disney Resort.
Wow.
Here is the enchanted
3
portable castle.
years.
To imagine seeing it and figuring out how it all fits within that pad. I'm sure all of our designers are out here going, how the heck is it going to fit? Because it's such a large castle.
She retired after Shanghai.
Initially 3.6
You'll notice a lot of people in this episode have left the company in the last 2 years.
foreign investment
There's
made
probably a reason for
yet
that.
they remained the minority owner. The company navigated miles of red tape and yielded its
Isn't it
usual
red tape?
control. The Imagineering
Terrible.
faced
For
facing
communism.
an unknown consumer. From 60 years of past lessons learned, the endeavor hinged on striking the right balance between Chinese heritage and Disney tradition.
One of our challenges on this project is
Shanghai
anytime
has its
we go into
moments.
a new market,
My
is
problem
really trying
was
to
everyone who
teach
went
our
was like,
culture,
oh, it's
our
the best
history,
Disney park I've ever
Disney
been to.
tradition. Our
It is not
heritage
even in the
such a rich
conversation
heritage.
of the best Disney park I've ever been to.
Who said that?
It all started with
Everybody who went.
one man.
And then to me it becomes like a status thing. It's like, well, I went when it opened. I went to it.
I feel like no. Everyone
People get a little
everyone
too
says
personally
Japan.
invested.
Not just me.
No, I know a lot of people said Shanghai. Went to Shanghai.
Do you feel that that's
Very
a?
wrong.
Do you feel like that's a dying opinion over time?
I came back and said that I didn't like it, and people were like, "What? Huh?" And I was like, "Really? Is it that shocking? Like, what did you see that I didn't?
My
Like, I
parents
don't
and my
know."
grandparents. It was very cosmopolitan. There were many, many cultures that lived here. My mom is full Chinese, and my father is European. I have in my blood the mix.
I do
between
love
the
these
East
little
and the West.
backgrounds on it.
Yeah,
In a
it's
way,
all about
I'm
telling a
still
story.
going back home, but it's a home that I don't know as well anymore. But I'm rediscovering it now in a different light.
I love those Fantasia
This
carousels.
market faces the same issues the Walt saw 6 decades ago.
Is it
Issues around
space?
safety, issues around show, issues around quality. Shanghai is retooling as a city to be a city focused on the service industry. And what Walt brought to America is what I think we're doing for China today.
We're announcing the deal, and I wanted to convey to the world that we were going to be extremely
Here becomes the God
mindful
complex.
of
It begins
entering
now.
China.
Does he talk about the? Well,
I made the tag.
apparently when he walks off the stage, that's when he found out about the attack on the beach at Grand Floridian.
Oh, is
Like
that a real
right,
thing?
yeah. Then he got a phone call when he walked out. He couldn't even enjoy it.
It wasn't 2011.
Apparently, it was some major Shanghai announcement.
It was at the,
Opening day, maybe.
I think it was the Toy Story Land groundbreaking.
Distinctly Chinese.
That would make
It had to be bigger. Because in his book, that's what he talks about.
He was there. He was there for all those things.
Challenges from the
This is way too
standpoint of
Yeah.
understanding the Chinese culture and not taking the stereotypical point of view. As we started working with our Chinese partners, and
Well, I think one thing you can say about Shanghai, and I could be wrong, but I would say it's not a commercial failure for them.
the more unique
Yet.
Yet.
I mean,
They've made money though, right?
done before.
Yeah, oh for sure.
Yet
Yeah.
it's a
Numbers are already down though, so whatever, like there might have been this big initial rush of, oh, we have to go see this thing.
I think Iger will get out before
He
it
will
becomes
get out
a
before
problem.
it collapses. It'll become someone else's
The
problem.
Imagineers broke many
There's
of
Tom
the
Staggs,
sacred
our Lord and
design
Savior.
principles.
Before he was ousted because Bob Iger wouldn't leave.
Like the paddle wheeler, the
We love you,
steam
Tom, wherever
and
you
Main
are.
Street, USA.
Please
At
come
the
back
Gap.
to us.
Inspired by Walt Disney's hometown of Marceline.
I like Mickey Avenue. Doesn't bother me, and
The
it's cute.
Imagineers did keep the the overall layout of 4 lands.
It is the place where I saw a kid pee in a Ziploc bag, though.
No.
Well, at least it wasn't on the ground.
Well, some of it was.
And called it the Gardens of
It's
Imagination.
hard to pee in
Kid
Ziploc
peeing
bags.
anywhere.
It was a girl, so it's hard to...
Even harder.
Wish I had a Ziploc bag right now.
Do what I did. Just left.
I can't.
Took care of business.
I'm professional.
So this garden
Not
was
me.
great because it provided a
I like the big hub.
enjoyment, while perhaps the
Those
older
are so
generation
pretty.
stayed behind and
They're cute.
hung out
Yeah,
with
they
the
do look
kids
cute.
and
They were pretty
enjoyed
roughed up
their
when I went, as you might guess. But, they're cute, though.
The Chinese workers, they all want to do it, but if they've never had the exposure and the training that took, for instance, from me, from the time I started.
So, they talk about getting Chinese artisans and things.
I'm still learning.
Eventually, they run out of Chinese artisans, they run out of Chinese contractors. And that's when they started bringing in just farmers.
And here we're
Bringing farmers in, and one of our presenters at Sage United worked on Soaring Over the Horizon. Said, like, we're working on it, and I had these farmers, I had to teach them how to do electrical work. They'd never done electrical work in their lives. And he goes, one guy almost fell down a 100-foot pit. I had to save him. So, like, they ran into a lot of problems, which it's sad. Like, I wouldn't have thought any less of them for talking about those problems here, but even this, it's like here we are working with actual like Chinese artisans. Like,
Yeah.
These are people. They've never done rock work like this before, but they're artisans nonetheless.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, if he goes around the corner, there's probably, like, some farmers throwing this rock together, too. We don't want to show.
Which should tell you something if you're having problems like that.
And let's remember how delayed the park was. Parks was
Yes.
opened in 2015 and didn't open until 2016, and it put the company in financial trouble. One of our more famous articles was the financial stranglehold, which began the Thanks Shanghai hashtag. It began out of that article.
Yeah.
We didn't start the hashtag, but the article is what kicked that into gear. You know, and that was because this wasn't going according to plan.
We said that for like 18 months. Thanks, Shanghai.
Yeah, we didn't start that.
Yeah.
The article came out, and then I don't know who started that. I don't know who started doing things.
God bless them.
But anytime something was budget cut, or someone had, like, cast members when their hours were cut were being like, thanks Shanghai, stuff like that. Became a thing.
That's cool. The castle you could actually walk up and into. There's multi-level.
Yeah.
Not the first.
That's
No,
awesome.
it's not Paris.
There's a lot of rain.
Walkthrough's cool. It's not great. It's okay.
Hopefully that's
Enjoy
going
it.
to get
Something
cleaned
different.
up over in the near
It's a pretty
future,
castle.
but for
Castle's
now, we
pretty.
know that we're going to be getting a lot of
It looks boxy in photos. It's pretty good.
That's storybook, right?
so the color's going to dull down. So we have to
Enchanted
kind of
storybook
account for all that as we're addressing color and finishes.
Color.
For the 8,
Very pretty, but it's also like
the designers relied on
you feel like you're in Bob Iger's park because there's 4 murals underneath the castle, and they're all of only movies made under his regime. And you're like, where's everybody else?
Yeah.
With a quote, I remember standing in Hong Kong watching a Pixar parade.
You sure it's not a video loop?
Yeah, it's just, it's what you hear subliminally in the background.
See, that's the thing I think that's the thing that this documentary does well is we are always looking at big picture, and it's never, and I think there's that negative aspect that people take in, but that should never from us shadow the personal triumphs of artisans and what they've done with what they were given by other people. So I think that's
Our yelling is more often than not
To management, yeah.
Those decisions.
We're not taking shots at Imagineers.
I mean, there's a couple.
thought through.
Don't be cheeking.
This is a moment, like Bob White's just like, Pirates is boring. Let's build a non-boring pirate.
I felt like I was looking through little windows.
This is the thing that gets me into trouble. This is when the other people have been to Shanghai are like, you're crazy.
This looks very cool when I watch ride-throughs.
Yes.
It is and it isn't. See, Pete, but you said what you said for Rise was like, oh, I don't like the screens. You would go into this and be like, oh, too many screens.
It's not.
It's big
Rise really walks the line because I love Rise.
This goes well.
This is
beyond
big
that.
old screens. Anytime your screen is your landscape, that's a problem.
I wanted to tell the equivalent of a
But you know what? I'm just happy they didn't do pirates again. It's ballsy to do this.
Technological marvel. I can't deny them. I just think it. That moment.
But does it deliver? No.
The physical world and the media world.
I'm more impressed by the skeleton turning into Jack Sparrow than that screen.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's the difference.
The sets are pretty.
Gorgeous,
I love like the first 5 minutes. I love, and then that first screen, it's like,
So it's funny, I didn't actually know, I guess I didn't see a full ride through, and I just saw highlights. Didn't know there was a bunch of screens in that ride.
Yep.
This ride system. I'm excited about what the future will be with this ride system. Very expensive. I doubt we'll see anything here anytime soon.
That's super cool though.
I believe it's not confirmed at this point, but the Peter Pan ride in Tokyo is supposedly this ride system.
A water Peter Pan.
You're basically immersed in a room that is an IMAX room. By the time
At least he's honest.
you look up and there are fish swimming above you. There's a lot of technology involved, but there's huge media in this space.
We rely a little too much on it because it's there.
It's an Imagineering cultural thing when you're on site to build a new family. In my lifetime, it's the first time.
And that scene dies because you're looking, there's little holes in the boat and there's like a screen Jack Sparrow.
Oh.
Like, we've seen animatronic Jack Sparrow already. Why am I, like, he could have been an animatronic in this window. He's not going anywhere.
Well, it's like the AT-AT on the ride. You're just like,
You're under pressure. It's easy to think conservative. We should lift space time because we know it, we know how to build it, we know how much it costs, it's popular, and so surprisingly, one of the great hurdles you have in a project like this is ourselves. Should we do Tron or should we do Space Mountain?
It's amazing that Tron happened. It's one of those anomalies where somebody just believed in it enough to do it. And they even say in here that like the Marvel movie's super popular in China, but we decided not to. And yet they're still not doing Marvel stuff there. I think it's weird.
Yeah, that's interesting.
do you smell a second park based around that for Shanghai? Wow. It's
even though movies from the Marvel Cinematic Universe broke records in China, the Imagineers opted to
They just decided Tron was the right aesthetic for Shanghai.
a property they felt better reflected the futuristic elegance.
And it was developed first for Florida, and Florida didn't end up doing it. It was supposed to go to both at the same time. I forget why.
no worries.
They decided just to do Shanghai.
We're good. We got it now.
Well, are we? Because Americans don't fit in this. So, and Imagineering told us at Expo, they were like, no, they're the same. Like, okay.
I'll fit, so I'm fine. That means less people on them. Shorter line. Yeah.
This is a fun ride.
It's
Like,
short.
people
Is it
should be-
short?
It's short. You should be very excited. It's a fun ride. It's not going to be Rise the Resistance, but it's a very fun roller coaster. You'll have fun time.
I mean, we're getting another roller coaster in Magic Kingdom. That's
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah, I love that.
Audio
Yeah.
overload,
We get-
so it's great to have more stuff.
Yeah.
So like Canopy's beautiful.
It visually looks great. Yeah.
Hiding the show building in there.
Yeah.
Very
But it's
visible.
something.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to have anything at the Magic Kingdom that will help split up the group.
Oh, for sure.
Like on ride.
It's a very fun ride.
It is weird to pick that IP though.
Yeah.
It's like
It's aesthetically
Everyone
wonderful.
knows what a light cycle is, though. And everybody wants to ride.
do
it.
they?
It doesn't matter.
Do I know what a light cycle is?
You do.
The fact that you do.
It doesn't matter who you are. You're gonna see that. And be like, oh,
I wanna ride it.
Oh, of course, that's basically
yeah.
what I saw when they opened this in Shanghai.
Merchandise is great. Like, they'll sell a ton of merchandise.
I have 2 daughters here and a son that we're adopting here.
And they're riding the
It's my
screen-based
goal for
Blizzard.
them to walk this, and this, what we're building is just the spark, right? What their imagination
One
builds
little.
after that, that's the true
little spark.
genius of the original Disneyland. When we would walk through
Tomorrowland as kids and we saw that rocket, we weren't seeing a fiberglass and steel rocket. We were seeing space travel. And that's what we're trying to hint at. The possibilities are endless.
I mean, I think Tron's a great property for this kind of stuff because you don't have to lead. You don't have to. No one's going, where's I can't remember, Flynn. Where's Flynn in this ride? No one cares, right?
Yeah.
Like Star Wars, you have to have a main character.
Yeah.
You have to have something like that.
That's the hard one.
Yeah, boy, howdy.
That means you're involved with dishes and furniture and fabrics and tiles and a myriad of detail that you have to be able to master.
Within the Gardens of Imagination, the Imagineers blended Disney characters with the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac calendar. The inclusion of the horoscope honored its role in Chinese daily life. Each mosaic mural would
Love
serve
it.
as a playful photo op.
Any Robin Hood is good Robin
This is
Hood in
this
my
is
book.
this is very smart on how they incorporated this culture into Disney.
I mean, they've learned a lot through the years and working this stuff out. You can see that process has helped them.
This is incredible to me.
It's truly a cut technique. It's taking a tile, factory made or manufactured, and then it's cut into shape so that it would fit within the overall shape that you need it to be.
It's so cool.
And then you have to create all of the different fractions and little
Anything handmade nowadays is like legit.
eyelashes and all of that. It really becomes an expression of art in another form, another technique, another material. This is your proverbial jigsaw puzzle.
What I love about like going behind the scenes with this kind of stuff is this is a thing you can touch.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yes.
watching them making this, and then I can
Tangible.
go back there and touch it and be like, oh wow, this is handmade, and I watched them make this.
And now you can touch, yeah.
Job. This would give me high anxiety, I think. Try to find that peace.
Poor people. Give them a table to put that on.
I'm waiting for these guys to drop it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Come on, Jim.
Oh my gosh.
Classic
In the details, and you can't
Chinese
like,
name.
think about, well, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Jim is a classic
So you
Chinese
have to
name.
constantly remind them of the big picture. Oh, this is one of the 12, and it just made it that much more special for them because they put their heart into this. And so you need to do that, and you always have to remind yourself, what is it for in the long run?
Come on board the garbage bag carousel. Only at Universal Studios Florida.
Live your own adventure.
Ride the minute.
As an heirloom, it's something that is precious and is going to be handed down from
Would have
family
been
to
better
family.
than Fast and the Furious.
Also on Dreamfinders, Tom Morris.
In that regard, it is like opening up a giant present. It's like a big
They're cute, but they use the wrong materials, so they don't hold up.
They're not lasting.
What do they use?
See, like that finish.
It's not fiberglass?
Yeah, but look at that finish. You can just tell like that's gonna stuff. And
Yeah.
people are getting on and
Not
off
glo-
of
it's
these
very-
all
Yeah,
day.
they're kicking
Looks
it
rather
over.
matte as opposed to glossy. Don't have that nice.
3 months.
3 months.
Wandering moon? Wandering moon.
And they said, well, you know, in China we don't really know how to run a marathon, but we really know how to sprint. They know
So
how to
basically they're
run
like,
90 days.
we're
That's
gonna-
like me.
We're gonna take it easy until you tell us the finish line's almost here. Then we're gonna rush.
That always works.
Going
Works.
so strong. They have
That
been
looks beautiful.
painting like the
It is pretty.
Not a fan
Pretty
of the
enough
color.
to make Hong Kong redesign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
A little in-park competition is not so bad.
No. I think Hong Kong's the better park anyway.
Level 2, I think this is our big hit zone.
Oh, Hong Kong
Because we
wins.
want to knock down the red. Probably going to have to hit more than 80% of them to some extent.
Yeah, it's more than just an in-park competition.
Hope they keep their, yeah.
We focus on lightening level 2 and cooling down
Yeah, I mean, it
level
didn't look
4.
like that. So
We're gonna have
they had to do a lot of work at the last minute to repaint the castle. This guy's like, ah, come on.
Oh, there he is!
Oh, Bobby C. There's Bobby C. He's like, how do theme parks work?
Oh, this is the part that Tom's in, right behind Chapek, stalking Lil.
Completely strung out. I had nothing left.
How did your show work?
The pressure on us. We had the board.
I mean, it's his. I mean, it's Iger's job if he gets this wrong. I think. I mean, it's,
Yeah, no, this was his.
This is it. So.
We had the Imagineering team.
Yeah, it took several years, but in a lot of ways, Paris cost Eisner his job.
Yeah, I mean, honest. I mean, for
Yeah.
sure.
But Eisner would have never built.
I think he's I think he's a genuine guy. I mean, I think he's a genuine guy for being a rich guy. I don't know. Like, there's a.
I mean, there's a.
He didn't
certain
come for
amount-
money, though.
There's a certain amount of underhanded you have to be as a,
Yes,
you know,
100%.
businessman in the world's largest entertainment company.
Right.
I can tell tons of tales that will make people feel uncomfortable about the Walt Disney Company.
Oh, for sure.
I've had my uncomfortable moments with them. Trying to be a journalist who's honest about their product. They
Yeah.
don't often take kindly to that.
No.
Because we're not paramedics.
But I
We're not rocket scientists.
at least when it comes, I feel like he made this park and then got tired. When it comes to
Winnie the Pooh.
He out.
We can say that.
Had visited Disneyland in 1980. Bob pressed his staff to find the
He's like, you sure?
Here's a pot of honey.
Very emotional. He didn't cry, but tears welled up in his eyes. And he said to me at the time,
I won't put you in jail.
You are okay for an American.
We will
Yeah.
accept. We will accept you.
For the
Western
West, yeah, you're not so
Watch
bad.
the accent. We
Oh,
can make
sorry.
fun of Chinese.
Sorry.
Like governments, but watch. Hold on. It was more Italian anyway. A little residue.
All my accents turn into Jamaican no matter what I start.
Terrible.
They end in Jamaican. Like I could be like, a good day to you, sir. You know what I'm saying. Down by the beach.
When you came to this watch along, that's what you wanted.
Yes.
That's right, it rained on opening day.
The concrete wasn't even set yet. No.
We were sitting at work, and I was like, man, I should have gone.
Faced with a challenge to accomplish something, especially something creative, people rally around it. People want to do it. They're excited when you come to know other human beings through the lens of working
I don't like that
every
part.
single day. It's very enriching.
It's very cartoony. It's weird.
For me, I think it's very simple. It's one thing we are creating, something happy and joyful. No matter how many challenge that we're facing.
So what they didn't show you in that load area.
Is that an animatronic?
Everyone not
Yes.
knowing how to load into a boat and it taking 20 minutes to load one boat.
Whoa.
Some
Get
people
outta
just
here.
sat in the first seat. Like they get in, they sit in the first seat, and you can't get to the other seat.
What?
People are jumping over roads. Like, this is nonsense.
is your land.
Oh boy, I don't like this intercut, but I
Yeah, I
get
don't
why
like
they're
this
doing it.
It also like removes the really American lines.
Here you leave today and discover a magic.
I get it's more from a documentary perspective. It's more of a
We continue.
we're tying in, but from a PR perspective, it's
That ropes course is the coolest.
yeah.
Love it.
How's that
Oh
attraction?
yeah, how's that attractive?
Roaring Rapids is a piece of trash.
Worse than the one.
Cali?
Yeah, worse than Cali.
No.
Oh.
But
What
close.
could be?
How's that animatronic though?
Terrible.
Ah.
You can see like the seam in his neck as you.
That's an animatronic.
No.
The Karak. That ride is a Karak.
I hope Bob Iger starts a clothing line.
Oh, hold on.
I just want the sweater vest.
I just want to dress like him. Sweet
It
umbrella.
has its moments. It's not in a good place. The people are clearly. You spend one day there, you will see how unready for it the people are. They just. It's hard for them to handle a lot of what's going on.
Is it just a cultural problem?
Yeah.
don't
So
Like,
is
there's a
Paris.
mother- we're waiting for the parade. There's a mother fighting to keep her kid out of the bush peeing. But she's like trying to stop him. She's like, you can't do that here. And the kid just keeps trying to pee in the bush. And they don't know how to load and rides. Like, a lot of problems loading rides. A A lot of like skipping in line, a lot of just pushing. I don't mean like Japan. It's like polite, like where you all need to get somewhere. In China, it's like I'm pushing past you. I've decided to cut you off.
So it's just a more of a crowd. Did you find that it was the park or the attendee culture that you liked?
Attendee culture, but you can see the park was already having problems. Like maintenance was already an issue. Like no one understood how to maintain things. It's just going to collapse over time because.
They have that statue.
Yeah, that's cool.
I guess I get why this whole episode's about one park, but it.
Is it just about Shanghai? That's it? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode?
Oh, you got a lot left.
I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Now we're going to find out.
We're in Cali.
What do you do next after you open a new park?
I was gonna say it's a big deal. I'm not trying to take anything away from it, but.
All right, guys, we're gonna plan a hotel we're not going to build.
It's harder for me to come back than it is to go. Go, you're excited, new life, new place, project, all that stuff.
It's like we just started.
Then you've been away for.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the hotel right here.
Wait, the city is not going to give us tax breaks?
Here comes the city of Anaheim knocking on the door.
They're just in the window.
Nope. No.
They're just out the window. No.
You build our hotel when you are evil.
You take that hotel up the road.
Got to evolve. Challenges are going to change. And our job
They were working on the
fresh that engine.
You're telling me you're going to close Earl of Sandwich?
You know that art? Because it's been on my website.
Oh, the concept art.
No, the blueprint.
Four-decade-long journey, Bob was appointed the new president of Walt Disney Imagineering. In a huge menu of work already in progress.
My man.
Look at that beauty. I want that. I want to buy that restroom model. I want a model of the Pandora restroom.
Gorgeous.
That's the model I want to own. Not the land. Not anything else. The restroom.
There he is. My man.
We just all get on our knees and bow now.
That's a good question.
Interestingly, yes, I do get assigned to projects I am not excited about. But my job is to
One of them was Avatar.
is about that project.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
For example, I did not have a clear way
This
of
Hold on,
was-
I want to hear it.
how Avatar was even possible to do. People love the movie, but is
Do
it
they?
feasible?
They
Can we
did.
do it?
It's the highest grossing movie until this year.
Loved it.
So there's no repeating forms. That means everything has to be independently engineered. So there's no economy of scale. Everything is gigantic. It's a tremendous investment of time. You have a world where things float in the air, which looks great in a CGI film, but I do not know how that could ever be done in the physical world. The key characters are 12 feet tall and really skinny. They're not going to fit inside of a human costume. What about this is a smart idea? And I get it.
That's great.
Avatar is about the intrinsic value of nature. Avatar is about a personal call to action. So it fits really neatly into the mythology of Animal Kingdom, even though it's a science fiction adventure.
Everyone laughed about this project.
The Imagineers were very apprehensive at first about working in a partnership. It took time to get that trust, to get that
I
relationship.
love John Lamb.
But
Yeah.
the door was always
This guy was always here. Like we saw him walking
Yeah.
the land, like walking around Animal Kingdom all the time. Like we're talking years before opening. He was just here.
creating content that has a need.
There's Tom again. Love you, Tom.
The
God bless.
experience of the ride itself.
Tom Stagg saw the value in this. He talked everyone into it.
theme.
John, like, I remember during the previews, John, I talked to John a couple times, and John would just keep asking, like, really smart questions.
Joe is
Like,
just
about, he would ask, I see him talking to other guests, too. Just asking really smart questions about how people took things
He
in.
really understood
This
what
is
we were
cool.
trying to do. He distilled the very best messaging from the movie, and he put it into the
Yeah, what they cut out was James talking about how big a part Tom Staggs was in all of it.
Yeah.
Because there was one interview that got out at the grand opening where there was a whole thing where I don't know what happened with Tom Staggs, but he's the reason this happened.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think they were really upset that that got out. And of course, then we published it because I was like, people should see this.
Wander around and kind of experience that whole land.
And Thus began my feud with Bob Jig.
It really is incredible what they did with this land.
It's yeah.
And look at just the model.
Yeah.
Of these mountains, which I want to make clear does not include these giant aluminum poles. What we did was to take the structural steel and redesign the structural steel
That's
so
an
that it
achievement.
appears
Yeah.
to be nothing but.
I remember watching that. We watched that go up.
Yep.
These skinny little lines that are holding
I remember reading the stories and the photo reports.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
It's like a classic magician's trick.
I love watching stuff that I actually went to. I love when they talk about Florida stuff.
There's our boy Zol.
There he is.
MVP, Zol Torme.
Z Money.
So when you look at it, visually you just don't connect it. It's an arch.
It's crazy.
It looks like confusion, but every piece is designed, glazed.
I mean, people are blown away with the structure, like, it's just standard engineering, but how they made it look.
I look at it now.
The dressing
and
they
I
put on it is
still
nice.
can't see.
Oh, I saw it since day one, but I'm a construction guy. I just like how they dressed it.
They play as plants to me and not as far away.
The challenge is to force that perspective vertically and into the distance too. So it's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one.
Normally we have hero shots, point of views. On this project, everything
That's
is a
so
hero
cool.
shot.
Like this
So we have to pay
detail
attention
work.
to every
Yes.
detail.
That's what I'm talking about. That's unbelievable.
Love it.
One
So
of the
sick.
most important things that the Avatar project is doing for Animal Kingdom is bringing Animal Kingdom into the night.
And then to have to design all this stuff, to then have a great look at night.
Yep.
You know, these flower props are insane. Like he said, they didn't do molds. Told me we wouldn't do molds because we didn't want anything to look the same because it's natural.
Yeah.
So just everything was its own mold. It was a completely different
So
thing.
crazy.
Waves of illumination through all of the plants in the land, and then these mountains are projected onto with mapped projection that covers the mountains in bioluminescence. So you see these sort of waves of luminescence crossing through the mountains themselves at night.
In the end, I don't know if we ever would have predicted that the better land would have been Pandora. I don't know that I ever would have made
Compared
that
to Galaxy's Edge.
Like Rise is the better ride. Like, I don't doubt
100%.
that. But Pandora is the better land.
Pandora has the lushness that you
It gives you
can't
feelings
get.
that you
Yeah.
want in a theme park. You want to feel transported and welcome, and that sense of inspiration and awe.
This is my favorite shot from the trailer because the Muppets are just sad back there and the mobile and then over here is.
I can't even say that it represents a next step. It's really like
I remember that first preview.
This is a wild thing.
When the eyes opened up and she started
What's
talking.
sad is the
Yeah.
one they're showing you is definitely more complicated than the
Sure.
one that's out.
Yeah.
Like it's still great the one that's out, but this is like
Unreal.
yeah.
Or so real, I should say.
Maybe it is the same one. It's got some wear and tear, so it's not quite what it
You
was.
need some Avatar chapstick.
Creating enough movements inside the face that you can actually reproduce
Yikes.
what people
Buzz, your
or,
girlfriend.
creatures can actually do. One of the
It's incredible.
technologies that's allowed us to do that is to move
One of my favorite things is sort of dumb, but when you're on the ride, when you're past her, if you do look back, you can see the black cord. If you look really closely, you can find it.
Isn't that her hair?
No, it's there. You can see it. It's only for like a sliver of a second. But
Sure, it's not like her.
I am sure I've
I have
seen
to go
it.
ride this now.
Yeah, and maybe it was out of the way or whatever. But it's I love it. It just makes me happy. It's not something that you would look for if you were normal. But
we were able to plug in almost as a module our way of capturing motion.
I didn't know this.
That we had used to make the movie.
That the mocap, they were able to just transfer some of that into
So it
animatronic.
actually represents
That's
And
so
then just
cool.
replicate it. Isn't that crazy?
it's wild.
movement that's now being
That's incredible.
Incredibly complex machine.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
I remember when Lincoln blew my mind, and that would have been, what, in the mid-60s? When you think about how crude that figure is now in terms of the number of actuators, number of axes of motion.
I like James Cameron talking about Lincoln animatronics. It makes me happy.
I love Jim Cameron in general.
There's this world-renowned director, and he's like, I saw the Lincoln animatronic. It's great.
10 feet tall, and she's got 3 fingers.
Because you'll see the one out doesn't have that same, there's not a lot of that eyebrow movement and stuff that we saw in the other one. So she's complicated, but she's slightly less ambitious than this one.
Yeah.
I remember we saw this.
When that blew my mind.
Yeah, everyone's like, that's the animatronic.
And that was it. Like,
what?
the whole.
Yeah. I'm blue.
Now to talk about the Great Flight of Passage. Imagine it began by sitting on gramophones. What they were sitting on in that shot.
Performance capture is a way to translate human actions, human performance into a digital character. When we're able to stick and have our design.
They're blessing the space.
Yeah, right.
This is what he does whenever he walks into a room.
Sage.
Oh, they just look like a bunch of nut jobs. Yeah, like this.
Technology enabled us to,
This is the best.
very intuitive way, capture that spirit.
We were riding that ride at a pretty rudimentary scale when all of us kind of had this joyful, weepy sensation.
Joe talked about this at Expo, and it was such an enlightening moment.
We're flying through like computer graphics.
Like the moment in the ride where you feel like this bliss, this euphoria, and I'd always felt it at that moment in time, and to be like, oh, it's a thing they realized, and they tried to improve upon in the creative process. It's such a crazy thing. But that's what makes Joe such a great designer.
I felt early on that it was too rough, that the ride was too rough, that it was trying to compete with hardcore iron rides and hardcore simulator rides.
Yeah, he said it was too thrilling at first.
So I asked
They toned it down.
I think we met in the middle. I felt that the visual experience I really picked up.
I would like to. I wonder if could we ride like the special
is
event?
there
I wanna
like
ride,
yeah?
Extreme Flight of Passage.
Can they flip a switch to go to like that B mode or that extreme mode?
X mode. It's cool to see the footage like this.
The frame rate on the real footage is too great for our television.
Oh, easily.
That's what's happening. This thing right now. The film is so hard. I hate screenwriting.
Well, and as we're talking about, when you can't see the edge, it's a level of disbelief that you can.
Another science fiction universe debuted on the opposite time.
The black hole. Oh.
Great ride.
Which is another roadie project. Same time. This I think is a greater. I shouldn't say greater, but I think just as good because like everyone expected this to fail.
As a plot, plussing a.
Others called it a millennial pop culture marketing ploy.
Super cool animatronic.
Great animatronics.
Make it current. Keep the same.
It was not a good Tower of Terror. I remain adamant about that. I'm sorry if you're watching at home and you like that one.
Come right it here.
Yeah.
It was not a good Tower.
Why do you like a less good thing?
So what's
hey, look back there.
They're showing him Mission Breakout, but in the background is art for Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah,
so
he's
like
pitching.
already. We're like, yeah, we know. They knew. They knew well in advance. So as fast as Mission Breakout was produced, they have been spending all that time plus more working on Cosmic Rewind.
So it better be just as good. I'm still looking for Tom Corliss in this episode.
Oh, he's coming.
So we wanted to make it a
It's just a thing from the critic. He just goes, "It stinks.
I don't like it.
I don't like it."
He's just boo.
They show Toy Story Land. I'm just like,
Baking in the sun, sunbathing.
It is a terrible facade for the sightline.
Mm-hmm.
That is not his.
They
It's
were
not
given
Joe's
the
fault.
job, they were given-
It's not anyone's. Yeah, it is a larger, big picture problem. But it's
I
California
love
Adventure.
seeing the footage of them
Yeah.
overlaying the inside.
With the lights on, yeah.
They just put things over what was there.
Yeah.
On paper, this all sounded like a terrible idea.
Oh my God,
Yep.
yeah.
And then you let this man touch it, and it's like, oh,
I-
this is great.
He can take me anywhere he wants.
Yeah. And filming the footage.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did this
While they were
with
filming.
7 cameras was how they got all these angles and it's able to do that bounce. Isn't that crazy?
That's. I mean, it's what your phone does now.
Yeah.
That.
It's true.
He's so jacked.
I didn't know James Gunn directed this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He talked about how cool it was for him because he was such a fan of the parks to actually be a part of an attraction.
Why people feel the emotion. The stuff has no emotion in it until you load it. And you load it.
Zoe Saldana. If you're watching, call me, please.
You're welcome.
I love him.
Nice guy.
It's still probably my favorite Marvel film.
Oh, mine.
Great.
They couldn't get better footage of their ride. It's like an iPhone shot. Remember that time he mispronounced the name of his own character? Great.
We got
Well
that.
done.
Galaxy Mission Breakout won over many critics. It also
Over this
served as a prelude to the grand
Yeah, I don't.
Imagineering
I think it did fine.
I like it.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like critical wise, like I don't. This whole like it didn't maybe make critics happy. I don't know.
To be honest, those two rides.
Announced that everyone was angry.
Yeah.
Right, but,
Yeah.
We
but
were
at
the only side
response.
that was like, nope, do it.
But the what I'm discussing here is the finished product.
Some
Oh,
people
is there
tried to
is,
still do
have they
That
done something with Star
that
Wars?
and racers makes that. I mean, Disney California Adventure, like
Pete, this is Star Wars, by the way. I don't know if you've.
Star Trek. What? What is this?
I'm Scott Trowbridge. I came to this company after Harry Potter to do this.
Oh, is that true?
The ambition level was going to be high. You can see that.
What element? What's his expertise?
Orlando and in Anaheim.
Building themed lands around one product. Oh, it's our good friend Bob.
Bob!
Chapin. Love you, Bob.
Call us.
His voice sounds nothing like what I thought it sounded like.
Were you listening when you talk like this? I came in and I said, what's the least we can do? See these buildings on the spire? No one's in them. Just get rid of them.
Let's do a walk through Falcon attraction.
I don't think there's any more innovative team than the Imagineers. Just that name alone is something that
There's your one Kathleen Kennedy
conjures up
clip for the whole series.
And Twitter has lost its mind already.
In terms of immersive entertainment, it's often a way to think about making a movie when you're translating a book. You look at the book and you think, I'm not going to do a literal translation of that. I'm going to try to find out what
Do a
themes
budget cut
are
version.
they actually taking.
Oh, hotel.
That's-
No, it wasn't. That was inside.
Was that
Rise.
Was that the trans? Oh, that was the transport.
It's a whole nother level of thoroughness. Sometimes, I would insist on having something look a certain way because it was very authentic Star Wars.
He's been there since the prequels.
Yeah, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff.
And by working together as one team, we were able to bridge those gaps.
The Imagineers spent months digging through old paintings of Ralph McQuarrie, the concept artist on the original Star Wars. Their treasures of past
Yeah.
sketches that help define the shape
And a gremlin in that shot too.
and landscape of planets.
That wasn't Baby Yoda?
It's really important to find out one ingredient that actually defines what that planet is. For instance,
This makes me.
Hoth is a snow planet.
Why?
Hoth is a snow planet. Cadmium's a desert planet. Then we show this art. It's very petrified
Lush.
forest, a lot of lush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
It
petrified forest.
became a sand planet with a forest on the side.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was in this room.
There he is.
Is this you?
No, I'm not. No, no. I might if I look harder, maybe, but that's not where I saw it.
We were backstage and we were like high-fiving each other.
Yeah, because no one thought it was going to be announced at that panel either. That was the movie panel. Everyone thought they'd go to Parks and Resorts the next day and it would be announced there.
Was to build a place that felt authentic. Everything
We're not just building one of
from the
these.
buildings we build, to the wardrobe that the cast members wear, to the merchandise in the stores, to the food in the shops.
So the droids will never put out.
You shouldn't see it in this land.
That was the shot.
See, that's way more
There's a lot more going on.
petrified wood.
And we wanted to have a sense of history. I remember staying in the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul. It's incredible to actually close your eyes, stand in the middle of the bazaar, and you hear the shopkeepers yelling at each other. You hear the call to prayer. You hear all these different people speaking different languages pass by.
So you take all that out.
You can smell the wet stone.
I will say the sound design. I mean, I'm not a fan of this. It's too minimal in Galaxy's Edge. I don't want music. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I would
Pandora's
I would
so
disagree
lush in its sound design,
at
and I-
points. There's times where I'm just standing in the land and I hear like a ship land
That's
or
the ship landing stuff is what I like, but
So much more than just the visual look of this planet. This is going to be an unguided journey.
I do like how it's aged too.
You can go wherever they want. They'll be able to smell
there's more trees there.
Smell the Ronto wrap.
touch materials and fabrics. They're going to basically live this place as if it's real because it is real.
I love that. So cool. Yeah.
We always bring a sense of play and a sense of discovery to everything we design. I remember building play sets in my backyard and have my figures have these epic battles and TIE fighters coming in and X-Wings battling. And now as an Imagineer, I can imagine being that 10-year-old kid with his action figures in the backyard. It's just on a scale that's full-size and epic. What we did on the storyteller is not show you everything at
That's
one
super
time.
cool.
What we like to do is come in, give you a little taste of it, give you a moment where you're like, oh my god, we just arrived, look at this building, this is the droid shop, this is incredible.
So you're talking about both the
And then
rides?
as you turn the corner, we open this amazing view up to you, almost like a cinematic reveal.
I'm guessing this is California.
This isn't the only one. Every time you turn a corner, we paint one of these reveals for you. We're always pulling you through the scene to a destination you just haven't seen yet.
Ronto wrap.
Yep.
Now I'm hungry.
Same.
Orlando.
Here comes the dishonest moment.
Uh-oh.
These people are not
I think
Imagineers.
about Star Wars,
No.
it's not a high-tech galaxy. Most of the stuff, the screens and all that, are never anything after the 70s and 80s. So there's a particular look of the propping to
The
make
props
it
were
look Star
not
Wars.
done by Imagineering.
Nor the vehicles.
A band of Imagineer scavengers rummage through airplane graveyards, flea markets, and ministries of defense, gathering parts to recycle.
One guy had a Wizarding World of Harry Potter project team jacket on. Oh, there it is. He
There
has
it
it
is.
on right there.
In a secret Orlando warehouse, the small team constructed thousands
It was the
of
worst
custom
kept
props
secret
to
in the world.
decorate the planet. The Imagineers thought of one hunk of junk as the main
People,
character.
people just kept emailing me the address of the warehouse. I was like, I'm not going over there. We know it's there. Everyone knows it's there. I'm not going over there.
Star Wars people say, oh, I want to fly into the landing ball.
For the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, the Imagineers partnered with game engine software developers to create an interactive adventure light years beyond a video game played from a couch.
Kind of.
We knew we needed this to be near cinematic quality imagery.
Is that the game companies they laid off?
High frame rates.
Those game companies. I don't know if they could have done this.
This is the first time Disney admits to the ride system where it's
Yeah.
a carousel thing. We'll get there. Look, there's a sequence you don't even get yet. We'll get that one later.
Yeah, that was a TIE fighter. Wasn't it?
Those are old TIE fighters.
Yeah.
It's as if the project started as something else.
As we start to fix these bugs, connect this piece of technology with this piece of technology, figure out why this impediment is
Yeah, that's something I know.
But that's what life is like when you're working on the cutting edge of technology. You're
That's the one we don't.
that no one's been in before, yet we're counting on this.
That's the one we don't.
Flawlessly and seamlessly on opening day. That can keep you up at night. I can tell you, we've solved those problems. Yes, almost.
Okay, Scott.
The design team faced another dilemma. Deliver a personal experience to an individual flight crew, yet accommodate 1,800
Except the problem is you have to look at the wall and the front of you.
You don't have to. If you know the buttons. If engineers do, but
Here it is.
that's so
So cool. No one will even ever know this exists outside of this.
Oftentimes I find myself as a translator, where you're trying to translate
It's
at
wild. It's cooler than the whole ride. And I like the ride, but it's so cool. That lever is the best part.
Yes.
And it's not a joke.
Totally agree.
That's what made me feel like Star Wars.
That's what I tell people. If you're not the pilot, I don't think it's that great of a ride. If you're pilot, it's a great ride.
You just said like, yeah, we had to do Falcon, but this is the ride we wanted.
This is the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
I remember walking this when we broke down.
Yeah, I've walked on
Designed as a 15-minute-long immersive experience, Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance earned the distinction of the most complicated attraction the Imagineers have ever
Physical.
created. The main storyline revolved around guests being captured aboard an enemy ship and attempting to escape.
In this scene, we find ourselves actually coming face to face with these amazing
working on that.
transport vehicles. We know what laser bolts look like. We know what spaceships look like. And it's movie special effects. And so for us to actually recreate
This is,
Yeah, that was super cool.
real
so cool.
requires us to bring a whole bunch of technology.
It's really, really well done.
Create these amazing technology sandwiches.
Look at that test where they were gonna have it. It was gonna crease like a
In this scene, lasers are a big part of that.
like the thing between the.
Yeah.
So it'd be a little more convincing. They ended up doing that, but
As part of
real
the special
cool.
effects that will happen inside this scene.
Another spot I broke down.
Outside these windows, we see that.
I don't even feel comfortable standing there. I don't know why I'm standing.
We were in front of one of them. I think our vehicle's the one that tripped the breakdown.
This is my favorite scene, I think. It's so specific and.
It's only good if you're in the front car, though. The back car-
I was only in the
had
front
a
car.
blast in the back, so I'm excited to be in the front then.
For 4 years, the designers pre-programmed and pre-visualized every element across 18 different scenes.
Yeah, you don't think about those as being. And there's the.
That's
Wicked
the only
Witch
weird
West.
part. That's the only weird part. Is when those two flaps come down and.
Yeah, I don't like that flap.
Yeah.
Well, he can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Why can't he go into the ground?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Why would he go into the ground?
I don't know. Better than a flap. I'm just throwing them blue sky in here.
Piece of ship collapse.
He doesn't look as stiff there.
Whoa!
Wicked Witch.
I get it. He's getting sucked out. I get that it's wobbly.
They could have Wicked Witch it like even better, like put like smoke or something like snaps a tube.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the wind helps, but there is a lack of.
It just looks weird.
It's
That's
all
what's, and again, I'm.
We're nitpicking.
Exactly.
To the escape pod. They just wheeled him in. This is cool that they show on this one.
They showed the drop works, right? Yeah. I saw this on Twitter this morning. Super cool.
Drop it.
Put it on that motion base. And then let's take that whole motion base and attach it to a free fall drop tower.
That's so cool. I mean, that is 3 systems in one.
Yeah.
But that was the best way to bring Star Wars to life.
That's sick. What an ending to a ride, too.
Imagineering is instead of building complex power plants or roads or movies or special effects, you're doing all of those things at once. And
The Imagineers had to be so happy this is finally open. Like, everyone, like, just, it's so incomplete the land without this ride.
it's the combination of those voices and those points of view that allow us to build this.
She's piloting very poorly.
I was gonna say, that's awful.
That'll end very poorly. You're always so critical of us, so thank you.
Yeah. It's not terrible.
This isn't garbage. I'm going to.
This is the most excited I've been in a decade. I made Red Tails. The last time I was this excited.
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is now open.
To the meeting.
And beyond.
Oh, there I am.
Where?
In the crowd.
That's the moment we've been waiting
you'll
for?
see me again at the front of the line.
Where?
For Opus
Oh, yeah, right there.
Cantina.
There he is.
Rewatch.
Hard to miss.
Woo! They had to not use a whole lot of other footage because I was way too visible. The whole walkover from Tomorrowland to the land, we are just dead center in the front of the camera. And they've never used any of that footage of that 15-minute walk.
Checking status. All the servos are found. Blisters are good.
We gotta show off the Stuntronics.
I love these Stuntronics.
They're interesting.
What are these getting used on again?
Who
I don't
knows?
Maybe Spider-Man.
I suspect a lot of places around
You know what? Well, this could just end up being RD. Yeah, this is RD, so.
Yeah, it is. I don't think there's any
when you
specific
look at
use
the
of
latest
money.
characters from Star Wars.
This is a perfect stunt show thing. If you could use it that way.
Well, these animatronics are demanding 20 an hour.
For the most dangerous moment. You can do a swing in from Spider-Man with
I
this.
somehow feel like the company will be less
Transition.
willing to put an expensive robot in harm's way. So I don't know that these will be doing anything more dangerous than a human.
That looks very Spider-Man-like.
Yeah, that first one was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That hand is Spider-Man.
That's super cool.
Oh, definitely.
That's sick. That is very cool. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Someone get him out of the net. How long did this last for?
There's Jake. Never got to come out.
He was out one day, right?
He was out a little bit at Disneyland and the expo.
With every breakthrough discovery, past and present,
That's cool.
comes a relaxed tendency toward maintaining something proven to work. As the saying goes,
Mr. Toad.
broke, don't fix it.
I like this, like, this is the original, this is what we're doing
The
now.
next generation of
Yeah.
engineers must continue that innovative spirit, exhibit the sheer desire to obsolete themselves and advance. Blue sky is not the limit.
I often kind of fantasize
He's very fashionable.
about what's Imagineering going to be 100 years from now? What are the parks going to be like? Where are the parks going to be? What's Disneyland going to be? And
My man Mark Davis.
What's still gonna be there, and they show the country bear.
That's very funny.
I feel like they were trying to tell us something there. You don't know what.
Attitude about the public was never putting down people. It was always about meeting the needs of people as he saw them.
I love that line.
Yeah.
Not about putting down people, about meeting the needs of people as he saw them. As opposed to some Imagineers now who make fun of their clientele on Twitter. Not a great choice.
Carry that sort of aspiration about what it is that we do and engage that into other people and inspire them. I think that's the greatest gift.
Preach.
Let yourself feel emotion in order to do this work.
And we cut to Pluto now. And some things never change.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors, doing new things, because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. We're always exploring and experimenting.
Even his stubble looks so crazy. The raft.
For nearly 70 years, the Imagineers cultivated an idea from the mind of one man into a global phenomenon of 12 theme parks and counting.
Yeah, I like just seeing all the Imagineers in the parks, just walking.
Cultural
Oh, that's cool.
influence and the constant stream of new characters and stories. An Imagineer's work will never be completed as long as their imagination keeps asking the question, what if?
I just got chills.
Well, I have less issues with it than I thought I would.
The Shanghai part's the only part I have issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved everything after that was super
Pandora
interesting.
part's great.
Yeah.
Star Wars part is great.
Yep.
I love the rest of the episode.
See, they do this really good thing throughout the whole series where they... Oh, and then they recommend Waking Sleeping Beauty, which is a great call.
My favorite documentary.
Which is... they do this interesting thing, which is they keep going back to principles of emotions and humanity and creativity, opposed to taking some sort of, like, more Disney, more family.
Yeah.
Like, and because they don't do that...
We're gonna make it more Disney.
It keeps feeling like it's about people and
Bob
not a
Chapek
corporation.
had one little quote, which is good. But we didn't talk to him a lot.
Yeah.
He probably had a lot more to cut it
There
out.
was probably a lot of stuff that they couldn't.
Yeah.
More shrimp gumbo.
Probably like named all the attractions wrong.
Yeah.
You
No, just being
know.
mean.
Walt who?
But
Who's malt whiskey?
That was the best from last night.
That wasn't even in the script.
That was so good.
Who's malt
I know, that's why I laughed so
had
hard.
improv, 'cause then
I was
forgot
I
the
was
whole
following
script.
along the script last night and I was dying. Oh, so good.
Who's malt whiskey? I love this series.
Yeah.
There are some weird parts. There are some things I wish they embellished on or were more honest with as we get to episodes, I think 3 through 6. But I was surprised at times how honest it was.
Yeah.
And I would still obviously recommend it to any fan, and I think it's great for those of you out there who are fans who want to introduce people in your family or your friends to what all of this is. I think it's a really interesting way. I think it will capture people's imaginations and get them interested in a thing we're already all interested in. So I think it's a good thing to like force upon your loved ones who maybe aren't big Disney fans.
Yeah.
And I think on my trip home to New York for Christmas, I'll be doing that to a couple people, being like, "Oh, have you seen this thing? You should see this thing."
Yeah. Well, at work, I had a colleague in the lunchroom stop me and go, "Hey," because he knows I do this kind of stuff, and he was like, "I've been watching that Imagineering documentary, and wow." And like the fact that there's now this sort of primer for like, oh, so if you want to know why I'm this nerdy about this one thing, here's like because it's easy to be like, here's a book, and people are like, that's cool, but this is like it does a very good job of explaining why it matters, not why it's cool, not why it's interesting,
Why we do what we do.
right, but
why we are passionate enough to surround ourselves with this 24 hours a day.
yeah, and I think that's definitely the key.
Yeah, the emotion, the technological marvel, the artistry, the things that make it all meaningful.
I totally agree. Another thing I was just thinking as a Disney nerd is I just want so much more. Like I wish everything they touched upon,
Let's
they
talk
did
about
like
season
an
2.
hour of that.
Yeah,
an hour of that.
Let's talk about what season 2 we would like to see. I would love a World's Fair full episode.
Oh yeah.
I would love going into go into Pirates, go into Haunted Mansion. Huh?
All the feeds off?
Not yet, but when we're done. Yeah. Yeah.
I
just knew that
we're
we
just
needed you
talking.
in here. To finish that up.
They also never talked about, and again, it's not. I would have loved just 5 minutes on it. That'd be big. But any of their water parks.
Oh yeah.
They didn't talk about any water parks.
Yeah. Because Blizzard and Typhoon are real cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to see some of that. They didn't talk about other elements where Imagineering has an effect. Is Imagineers have places like shopping plazas and downtown Disney in California and Disney Springs here, or even transport too.
They did the Houston airport, the people mover.
Yeah.
Like I would love to hear just about them working on transportation systems through the year.
Yeah.
Or even how they like transform areas too, like Pleasure Island. If they would have talked about that, and then how they like something like that. So there's plenty more out there. I feel like they can definitely do.
There's endless.
Yeah.
I mean, we find hours of things to talk about a day. So they will find the content. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think there might be a desire for it. I think there's a desire for it. So
definitely.
I hope they do something with it. And
I would also love to hear more ideas that maybe didn't happen or didn't come into fruition, like
That's true.
Yeah.
you know, like the Disney airline or something like that. You know, like things that never happened.
I was amazed there was a little Westcott in Disney's America.
Yeah.
Things like that would be interesting.
Yeah, for a documentary about a corporation on its corporate streaming platform, it does a pretty dang good job of being as honest as you could expect.
At least outside of the current regime.
Correct. About stuff. So.
I think the best episode was 1.
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
2 is great, and then I like 5 a lot.
I like the Animal Kingdom one. Which one was that?
4.
4?
About 4. I think that the closer you get, the harder it is to be objective.
Although 5, I loved 5, and I mean we lived
That's
through
true.
5 as a website, so.
Maybe that's why you love it so much.
Yeah.
But I mean we lived through 6, but I think it's much.
You totally love it. Yeah.
It's been a darker period, perhaps.
Cool.
Yeah.
We did mention in I believe episode 4 episode 3 that it's just like very much. This is what happens in history. We get to a point, it repeats itself. Then it gets to a point.
The battle
and
between
it's just like,
artistry and commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just kind of, it's cyclical, but we don't, obviously, because we're too on top of it now, we can't talk about that battle
Yeah.
currently.
But we'll certainly see it more, I think, in retrospect.
Yeah, I hope in 15, 20 years.
Yeah, like Shanghai, like when would that period come into play that they're like, well, I guess we got to fix this now.
You got to have a new regime.
10 years.
Right? Yeah.
It'll be like 10 years from now. Because it has to happen, and then it has to be changed in motion for. So like, that's 10 years.
Well,
now.
I'd love to see like 10, 15 years from now, like a couple of years with us heavily involved in this. Like what?
Yeah, like
what
critics said.
What does like 2015 to 2020 look like in an honest documentary about the parks a couple of years from now?
Yeah.
Or what does it look like? Once JPEG isn't a part of the company,
Well,
like.
Well, and we're right as we keep saying, we're all like right here.
Yeah, you
and
can't.
so it's really, really difficult.
Both sides, and I think both sides of the argument need to time to reflect. And we need a good long period to figure out exactly what that period was and what it was like and how it turned out.
Yeah. Cool.
Any other thoughts on the Imagineering story?
I love the series. I want more. I just want more.
I'm happy it exists.
We are going to do one big roundtable, and there's a lot of people that didn't get to come do watch-alongs who want to do a roundtable on the whole series. And so we will close out our entire series of watch-alongs and reviews with one big roundtable talking about the series in total. So make sure you stay tuned for that on our YouTube channel, which of course is at youtube.com/WWNewsToday. We have lots of great content there. You should watch all of our stuff. But I won't take up your social media feeds and anything else much longer. Thank you for joining us for the Imagineering story. It's been fun, and hopefully Disney gives us more like this to watch along with you in the future.
Nice job, Leslie.
All right, have a nice day.
Bye.
Sivako. Ba-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Now we gotta turn off
Jason!
We're still on the air.
Let me take this time to talk to you about.
You know what I would really like? Just like Walt Disney Pictures, like documentary, just like history of Walt Disney.
Yeah, there's a lot of new quotes.
You should watch Waking Sleeping Beauty.
So I was just about to say I haven't seen that.
Oh, amazing.
It's been on my
Walt
watch
and El
list.
Grupo, The Boys. You should